This must be the old video. Oh shit, Giant in the building. Yeah, this is the video. I have to end this one. Let me see. Hold on. My live stream got cut off. This live stream got cut off earlier. The power went out. Unfortunately. So I'm 2 hours late because of the power. Not my fault, Jamaica. Light just come back about, I don't know, 20 minutes now. Let me see something. I need to verify if this is the same live. If it, oh yeah, 2 hours, I'm gonna end the live. Yeah man, the man at the moment live, I'm gonna end it. From Bolo VNR 2.0, I come back with the live, the next live I have scheduled here. See you guys over the next live. Big up everybody, Philippa, Odin, Jain, Valerie, everybody. Man, the live, yeah. Unfortunately, never finish. Got cut abruptly.
It was a result of decades of certain countries in the world, in the global community, stubbornly resisting scientific consensus that their carbon-releasing activities were leading to continue substantially unchanged, allowing fossil fuel-based economies to continue unabated, while effectively exporting the climate-related costs to less developed and vulnerable nations like ours and other small island developing states. In earlier times, Madam Speaker, Jamaica was known to have one major hurricane, that's category 4 or above, roughly every 40 years. However, in the 37 years since Hurricane Gilbert in 1988, Jamaica has experienced 4 such systems. There were 2 category 4 hurricanes, Ivan in 2004.
And Member of Parliament for St. Andrew South.
Pat W, what's up? Doreen, big up everybody. Boy, me start late, but me start. I start from the start, you know, because I catch up.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just want to begin by thanking God Almighty for His blessings, for having enabled us all to be here, and for having enabled me to continue in the role that I play. And may He continue to show us His love and bless us with strength and commitment to do right by our beloved country, Jamaica. I want to also thank my dear wife, Sandra, who is here, for being here.
So hold on, all of VNR clips that the one they live too. Oh, man, I hear that now. Something wrong. Oh, something wrong with my. Oh, me. Okay. I mean. My fault, my fault, my fault.
Two of my children who are here as well, Tasman and Benjamin. And I want to thank the former parliamentarians who've come to this, especially, well, all of them. But a special word for Dr. Omar Davis. It is very wonderful to see you, sir. I want to acknowledge the members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps who are here, and members of my constituency executive, my two councillors, Sarah Marshall and Louise Newland. We have some senators here as well, who are parliamentarians. And, and of course, my colleagues on both sides of the House. It's a pleasure working with you at all times, good and bad. And I particularly want to thank those on this side who have continued to provide me with their full support and enable me to do the work that I do as effectively as I can.
One mark,
you know? The staff of Parliament for the role they play in enabling us to serve as elected and appointed representatives. And I know that their situation is not always easy, but we appreciate very much the effort that they put in to enable us to do what we do in this House and in this chamber. So I thank them again. Madam Speaker, the change in political landscape of our great island that occurred in September of last year has profoundly altered the trajectory of Jamaica's future. The result ensured that this budget speech, which is my fifth as party president and leader of the opposition, is delivered from a platform of strength, momentum, and national validation. The doubling of the People's National Party seat count is living, breathing proof that our national movement is once again firmly on a path to assuming the responsibilities of government. The work put in since 2020 has borne bountiful fruit and reset deep roots in all corners of Jamaica. It is now surely a matter of when, not if.
That is it. That is it.
While we did come up just short of outright victory last time, the swing is undeniable. Over 100,000 more votes for the People's National Party than 5 years ago. The margins are shrinking and the writing is there on the wall for all to see.
Remind them, Marky G. Remind them.
Madam Speaker.
Yo, splash the
Madam
big up.
Speaker, the 2025 general election.
Hey, sweetie, how you doing?
Along with several who had suffered temporary setbacks in the COVID election of 2020. We have dynamic, energized,
like go with me, those
and
go live.
New faces to deliver. These voices ranging from the grill in the west to the eastern tip.
Should I live from 2 o'clock, you know?
And they have connected with voters and empathized with their needs, their goals, and their dreams. Unlike so many of the debutants seen in this House after the 2020 COVID election, they are very much here to stay. And it is my great honor to serve alongside them, and I look forward to doing so for many years to come. The combination, Madam Speaker, the combination of these youthful, ambitious souls with the experienced and slightly more grey hands of the previous generation, including myself and my fellow long-term PNP stalwarts, has created a parliamentary team for the times that we are living in, ready to hold this government to maximum accountability and to guide the direction that this House flows in, even from these opposition benches. I want to make special mention of the late Dr. Linville Bloomfield from Eastern Portland, and the late Dr. Winston Green from Southeast St. Mary, both of whom passed away while serving in this House during a previous term. The by-elections that occurred after their untimely passings resulted in Green victories. But in 2025, Isa Buchanan and Chris Brown, in two famous victories, took back what was lost. we dedicate those victories to those two fallen servants of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, the events that took place in September 2025 can be analyzed from two competing perspectives. On one side, the people of Jamaica heard our proposals for progressive governance of integrity that is accessible to all Jamaicans, and it resonated with them. The people heard our plans to build a society from the base upwards, rather than from the top-down approach, and it resonated with them. The people appreciated our willingness to tackle their day-to-day problems and engineer solutions that will have a practical impact on their lives, rather than fixating on macroeconomic indicators that bear no reflection on their everyday existence. And this also resonated with them. Madam Speaker, we are the party of the people. And
that's right. That's right.
And the people saw our eyes firmly locked.
Respect for the mustache and the
respect out for themselves and their interests, and contrasted that with the solution-oriented approach from the party of the rising sun. And while we came up just short, and only a few members on that side know the truth as to why, the writing, as I've said, is very much on the wall.
One Marky G. Marky G not spare no stops. Yo, the man a shoot. Yeah man, he must shoot man. And everything I connect. I wonder how long it will take them for ball out over there. Mighty God.
Quasi-authoritarian governance that held sway when the opposition only held 14 seats. Gone are the days of arrogant sneers from the government benches when certain politically aligned media houses flood the airwaves with misinformation about disunity on this side. But they are now solid like a rock.
That is it, Marky G. Boy! No, me feel away. Yo, me say current go with people and me tell you say, yo, me feel away. Yo, me say me ready, you know? You know, so when the current cut, who was on the live earlier, when you can know, I was cooking the labor right them. With Marky G old speech and from last year, and I go back into the details and them something. Yo, hey DJ, yo, me say me feel away, bro. I don't even know, bro.
The writing is very much
on the wall. Oh, they start ball out already. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out. They start ball out already. Watch out. Watch out, man. Get uncomfortable now. Oh, Andrew One is coming, so they man not bench for that.
Glad you made it.
Glad you made it.
On a personal note, man,
yes.
The last 5 years have been some of the most invigorating and fulfilling of my 60 years on
Big
this
up yourself.
It has been a great honor to fight for the rights and defend the interests of each and every Jamaican from each and every background, including, as I've said, the additional 100,000 voters who came on board with us last September. We will not let you down.
You hear that? Say that again, Marky G.
For the rights and defend the interests of each and every Jamaican from each and every background, including, as I've said, the additional 100,000 voters who came on board with us last September. We will not let you down.
Nah, let you down. Nah, let you down.
And as I say these things, I again have to give thanks and praise to the Almighty. He is my strength and my Redeemer, from whom all blessings flow. I pray that I will always do right by Him.
Yes.
And strive to live according to His holy word.
Yes. Hey,
Madam Speaker,
yo, me love how Marky G beat them with scripture, see? Me love how Marky G beat them with scripture, see? Me tell her that. And he's been consistent. If it me check him speech from last year. I second time this now, and this a speech I give praise to him most high. For everything. Because you know say without God you can't do nothing.
The joys of serving the people in confronting the difficult challenges faced by our beloved nation, the thrill of competing for the highest office in this land, the honorable sparring with my formidable rivals, whose day must come over here. Continue to blaze the fire inside me. And now, with this powerful, massive talent and commitment beside me, I very much look forward to finishing God's mission that we started in 2020 and living up to the legacy of my illustrious predecessors on whose shoulders we all stand.
Hold them, Marky G, hold them.
And we will do this by bringing a new era of innovative, strategic, caring, and honorable governance to this great nation.
Oh, yeah, me.
Madam Speaker, like many commentators and opinion makers, I have been thinking about what we must do to take Jamaica out of its chronic economic underperformance.
Yes.
With a GDP, a gross domestic product, which simply means the value of everything we produce, goods and services, in the course of a year. With a GDP of approximately $7,000 per person, one of the lowest in the Caribbean.
Yes.
Compared with 19,000 US per person in Trinidad and Tobago, 26,000 US in Barbados. Jamaica's average real GDP growth has merely crawled along at around 0.8%, not even 1% over the last 10 years. The Jamaican economy is clearly not delivering for our people.
Clearly.
Economic underperformance narrows fiscal space.
Right.
So that despite the relative low debt to GDP ratio,
yes,
in the range somewhere in the 60s now, 60% range, that Jamaica has achieved with immense sacrifice of our people over the past 14 years, we are still only able to deliver budgets with central government capital expenditure of 2 to 3% of GDP.
Thanks for sharing.
A substantial portion of which, sometimes over a third, remaining unspent at the end of successive fiscal years.
Yes.
Due to various inefficiencies.
Yes.
Much of our road network remains in a deplorable state.
Right.
Gullies and other waterworks and waterways are in urgent need of repair.
That's
and
right.
Coastal erosion, exacerbated by worsening climate conditions, outstrips modest attempts at mitigation.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, the education and training systems of the country are big contributors to our economic underperformance.
Of course.
The statistics are well known. Roughly a third of our primary school children leave primary school functionally illiterate and innumerate. They cannot read and write.
Still.
A problem which of course feeds into the secondary system, where less than 20% of our students achieve the basic requirements of 5 CSEC subjects, including maths and English. Only approximately 16% of Jamaicans end up with any tertiary qualification. Our workforce suffers from inadequate...
16%? Jamaica? What one tiny big up yourself? 16%? Thank you for the gifts. No, man.
Training and apprenticeship opportunities, so that over 60% of our workforce has no form of skill certification at all.
Yes.
HAT has been so badly mismanaged. Despite its bespoke source of income from mandatory employer contributions,
yes,
it made an accumulated operating deficit, an operating loss of $5.5 billion over the past 2 fiscal years.
Allah, you tell.
Remarkable.
You tell me say I lose $5.5 billion in the last 2 fiscal year? 5.5 billion? You never know that.
And shameful. Foreign direct investment has fallen to a third of where it was in 2015 when we were there. Investors will not invest
Jamaica,
capital.
hold on.
Which will fail to
have the clip up that.
Operating deficit, an operating loss of opportunities, so that over 60% of our workforce has no form of skill certification at all. HAT has been so badly mismanaged. Despite its bespoke source of income from mandatory employer contributions, it made an accumulated operating deficit, an operating loss of $5.5 billion over the past 2 fiscal years. Remarkable and shameful. Foreign direct investment has fallen to a third of where it was in 2015 when we were there. Investors will not invest capital. Remarkable and shameful. Foreign direct investment has fallen to a third of where it was in 2015 when we were there. Investors will not invest capital which will fail to generate competitive returns because the conditions for production are suboptimal and inefficient. The conditions in the health sector are so awful that they are negatively contributing to our economic prospects.
Yes.
Many Jamaicans overseas who would otherwise wish to return home to build Jamaica and who have the means to make a substantial contribution to nation building are unwilling to do so.
Them not come back.
Of the repeated horror stories about the conditions and standards of care in our public health institutions.
That's a fact.
It is an issue which we cannot run from.
No.
Patients routinely have to sleep in corridors, in wheelchairs, on benches, or other makeshift arrangements because there are no available beds for them to be admitted.
Yes.
Free health care remains a fallacy. Because diagnostic tests, many medications, surgical implants, etc., are available only at a cost that is out of reach
Yes.
of most Jamaicans.
Yes.
Our doctors and nurses in the public health system are stretched so thin
Yes.
that it adversely affects their morale and patient care.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, Jamaica continues to fall behind as we wallow in our low-tech, low-wage, and low-growth economy.
Yes.
Two of the industries that employ most of our people, global services and tourism, global services being what many call BPO, are vulnerable to existential threats to their viability like artificial intelligence and climate and geopolitical shocks that periodically cause major downturns.
Right.
We need a more balanced economy, Madam Speaker. Our economic underperformance contributes to the high levels of migration, one of the highest rates of brain drain, the migration of our trained professionals in the world.
In the world.
Hollowing out of the middle class.
That buddy?
Many of whom live from paycheck to paycheck, like the working poor, despite their tertiary degrees and other qualifications, and the high levels of school absenteeism, teenage pregnancy, gender-based violence, and other social ills.
Yes.
So, having solved the chronic debt problem that we inherited
Yes.
in 2012,
Yes.
and that we put in the heavy lifting
Yes.
to turn
Yes.
around.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I pause because I have to acknowledge the work that was done in the last PNP administration.
Yes.
Under the leadership
Yes.
of Portia Simpson Miller.
Yes.
Most honorable.
Most honorable. That is it.
And
That
Dr.
is
Peter
it.
David Phillips
Of
as
course.
Finance Minister.
Of course.
Jamaica was heading off the cliff under the previous JLP government.
Yes.
We were unable to even sit the IMF test, much
Yes.
less pass them.
Yes.
Our name was mud in the international financial community.
Yes.
It took us a year once we came back to office to persuade the financial community that we could be trusted with a new program.
Yes.
And we delivered on that program for Jamaica, and Jamaica born fruit
Yes.
from the work we did.
Yes. Now stop beat them with the mortgagee. Beat them mortgagee.
But despite Jamaica having solved the public debt problem,
Yes. Yes.
and I say solved it in the sense that it's still high, but we know how to manage it, and we know what it takes to manage it. And we have been
Yes.
successfully managing it for 14 years, consecutively.
Right.
And with the murder rate falling significantly over the past 2 years, nevertheless, Jamaica remains disappointed that there are no signs of a strategic plan to deliver a strong, rapidly growing economy that creates abundant, good opportunities for our people here at home.
Yes. Talk about it. Talk about it.
And attracts the return of Jamaican talent residing abroad.
Yes.
So, Madam Speaker, how do we lift ourselves out of this
Yes,
chronic
that's the
economic
question.
lethargy? At the core of the solution is integrity. Honesty in what we say and do is the foundation of trust and confidence.
That is
A
it.
commitment to accountability and being transparent in how we govern and what we do in the name of the people as the servants of the people.
Beat him.
We must strengthen, not weaken or undermine, the national institutions that
Beat
were
him.
established to promote these principles. And we must hold perpetrators accountable for corruption.
Yes.
And of course, I speak of institutions like the Integrity Commission,
Yes.
which I had a foundational role
Yes.
in designing and bringing to Parliament as Minister of Justice,
Yes.
and the Financial Investigation Division.
Yes. Yes.
Madam Speaker, during the last general election in 2025, in the campaign, with its manifestos and its debates and its platform speeches, the Prime Minister did not even hint at, much less disclose, his intention to take the massive salary increase that he claimed he had given up when the heat reached him after Nigel Clark announced this massive salary increase on May 16th, 2023.
Beat
Not a
him.
peep out of him
Beat
in the
him.
election campaign.
Beat
Can
him.
you imagine
Beat
that in
him.
February this year, a month or so ago, we suddenly learned that effective from payday last September 2025, right after the election,
Beat him.
the Prime Minister would be receiving his big salary.
Beat
after
him.
all.
Beat him.
Madam Speaker,
Beat
that is the
him.
latest chop. That is a real Brogard move. It was a shameful deception.
Shameful.
Not worthy of the high office that you hold.
Shameful. Beat
Not
him.
worthy.
Beat him.
Madam Speaker, as leaders,
Who thinks that market job play with people over microphone then? All the things say market champion people. Why? Yo, if them things say Mark going in and play with people, they make a sad mistake. I want going to say, all this. Why my microphone not connect? Hold on, let me people. Hold on there. Microphone not connected. Oh, I know why. See it now? No, you're not pull up none at all. Sorry. Okay, having a problem right here. Right here is the problem. This is the problem right here. People wanna bear with me there. My check. 1 2 1 2. Alright. I guess it now come up. It's not come up right now. It's always something, you know. It's always something, Jamaica. Always something. Alright. But I mean, you know, I wonder if Mark Golding is gonna go further into that conversation, because we really can go further. And here the man say it's the latest chop, it's the latest deception of the bro god. You notice when you call him bro god, you don't call him Andrew? Yeah, man. I chop on him that, you know. The devil tie him up. Rosemary, what's up, my darling? Janet, big up yourself. Eh? No, look at it, Jamaica. Make we really talk about it. Just for you look at 60 seconds. I start time myself, you know, because sometimes I can go off on a tangent. I go on 10 seconds already. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Owens see that Jamaica just got hit by a catastrophic storm. The people them need aid. Right? And people homeless. And the man decide to take him salary, in maximum salary. You realize that the man are wicked. And then on top of that, know that in this budget, he was going to raise the taxes, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, bro. This man is pure evil. Pure, unadulterated evil. Right? He said Jamaica react amid rising living costs as Prime Minister Owens' salary set to triple from 9.16 million to 28.5 million. PM Owens received 28.5 million annually after accepting salary increase. Odin, what's up? And you remember when I go and like say in a parliament, him say, oh, if I want thing, we give him back because he want somebody where him have him pride. Yo, this a man and I have nothing about him, my money. Hey, listen to me. You know Jamaican people can talk. This a man a DS. You hear me say? You figure out what that mean. Him is a DS. You remember good. Let's continue. Terrible man. Man, hey man, he evil your friend. You know what I'm saying, brother? I never see a man like this.
Madam Speaker, as leaders,
Man, they start get jumpy, Marky, if you're drinking water. Drink water, mind the business of Mark Golding. No, so that one day we now get them rowdy.
Madam Speaker, as leaders, we must hold
Why am I something so low now? All of a sudden.
And we should be quick to do the right thing by leading the team when transgressions come to light which are not compatible with clean and honest government in Jamaica today. Unfortunately, the reverse all too often prevails. Impunity rules the roost as persons in positions of responsibility become serial transgressors. And it doesn't seem to matter because nothing happens to hold them to account. Madam Speaker, we cannot build our nation that way. We cannot build a nation that our people aspire to and deserve on such weak and wobbly ethical foundation. That is why we on this side have signed the Leadership Code of Conduct
by the
Integrity Commission.
Tell them. Hold on the Jamaica. Something go wrong with the box here now because a while ago I never have this issue. I know me have that issue. Devil is a liar. Devil is a liar, you know. I'm gonna try it again. Alright. A while ago it was so loud and then it just dropped. I know so I have the deck, not the desktop. You know, I don't want the desktop. I just want the browser. Browser volume right now. Browser volume they are 300%. It's good. It's supposed to load. But the desktop volume they are 300%. Yeah, it's supposed to good.
Committing our this side.
No man.
The leadership code of comfortable with clean and
alright, so something definitely wrong with the box then.
That in February this year, a month or so ago, we submitted
that shaking it. When that time it dropped.
2025, right after the election, the Prime Minister would be receiving his big salary after all. Madam Speaker, that is the latest chop. That is
latest chop.
It was a shameful detection, not worthy of the high office that you hold.
True.
Not worthy.
You know, say, Andrew one is the thing, say. Where my ask? Splash Digit? Try that God, what's up? Where my ask? Can I see comment I'm really paying no mind because certain things are distraction, you know. Remember when Mark Golding when I try to suggest that remember when Andrew Wallace when I tried to suggest that Mark Golding was receiving the most money out of everybody because he never take the money? Want to remember that in the budget debate? Yo, me say sometime wish me have the anything upon me can you see, me I go find it. Me I go ask somebody to send it to me. Because one man can't so wicked. Man can't so wicked, brother. The man can't it come like a button upon this now, bro. Right? Come like that now, bro. Can you see that? On the button where I work I power off button. You know what I'm gonna do? See if this works. Let me see if this works. See if this works, Jamaica. That kind of sound look low that is up. See if you pick up the microphone. What? Not if you pick you up. Now I read my microphone. Wow, man. Nah, waste no time, man. Yeah, so what me I go do? Come out of OBS and come back. What the time? I don't know the timestamp, but we'll find it. I'll find it.
Reducing prices, increasing access and dignity, and improving efficiencies. That's the way to do, which are eminently doable, which will make a big difference in the lives of our teachers. Increase retention in not doing it. Of my illustrious predecessors, and whose shoulders we all stand. In the last year. Jamaica was heading off the cliff under the previous JLP government. We were unable to even sit the IMF test, must
Damn.
pass them. Our name was mud in the international financial community. It took us a year once we came back to office to persuade the financial community that we could be trusted with a new program.
Oh my God. Let's go start up. Let's go get the next box.
Jamaica, and Jamaica
I don't know what just happened a while ago. The box just stopped work. Una hear it, good people?
But despite Jamaica having solved,
Una hear it good? Please let me know.
and I say solve it in the sense that it's still high, but we know how to manage it, and we know what it takes to manage it.
Una hear it good?
Successfully managing it for 14 years.
Una hear it good?
Consecutively. And
sorry about that,
the
young
murder
people. My
of a
fault.
nation that way. We cannot build a nation that our people aspire to and deserve on such weak and wobbly ethical foundation. Ourselves to a high standard. As leaders, effective from payday last September, after Nigel Clark announced, I speak of institutions like the Integrity Commission, which I had a foundational role in designing and bringing to Parliament as Minister of Justice, and the Financial Investigation Division. Madam Speaker, during the last general election in 2025, in the campaign, with its manifestos and its debates and its platform speeches, the Prime Minister did not even hint at, much less disclose, his intention to take the massive salary increase that he claimed he had given up when the heat reached him after Nigel Clark announced this massive salary increase on May 16, 2023. Not a peep out of him in the election campaign. Can you imagine that in February this year, a month or so ago, we suddenly learned that effective from payday last September 2025, right after the election, the Prime Minister would be receiving his big salary after all. Madam Speaker, that is the latest chop. That is a real Brogard move. It was a shameful deception, not worthy of the high office that you hold.
Embarrassing.
Not worthy. Madam Speaker, as leaders,
We need some milk.
Madam Speaker, as leaders, we must hold ourselves to a high standard. And we should be quick to do the right thing.
Black Loki, what's good?
When transgressions come to light which are not compatible with clean and honest government
Of course.
in Jamaica today.
Of course.
Unfortunately, the reverse all too often prevails.
Yes.
Impunity rules the roost.
Yes.
As persons in positions of responsibility become serial transgressors.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem to matter because nothing happens to hold them.
Trey Brad, we had deal with.
Madam Speaker, we cannot build
Why me miss the whole the first part of this, so me I go over it. The light go upon me, like cut out. You know what go on. But me don't know why the audio so low.
That is why on this side have signed the Leadership Code of Conduct produced by the Integrity Commission. Committing ourselves to upholding principles of good governance and being accountable if we fail to do so. You should be further strengthening the anti-corruption arsenal.
Of course.
Introducing the important tool of unexplained wealth orders.
Yes.
To reinforce the tools available to law enforcement now for recovering illegally obtained income and wealth. That was agreed upon by both sides
Yes.
in 2019,
Yes.
but you have cast it asunder.
Yes.
Why have you abandoned the procedures of impeachment of parliamentarians
Aye.
and other holders of high office?
Aye.
Former JLP Prime Minister Bruce Bowling tabled in this House in 2011.
Yes.
I updated by tabling a private member's bill
Yes.
in 2021.
Yes.
Why are you not pursuing procedures for the recall of non-performing elected representatives to ensure that there are consequences when conduct and performance fall below what is acceptable in a free and democratic society.
Of course.
The rule of law. Why?
Of course. Beat them, Marky G. Beat them.
We remain committed to these reforms that enhance accountability and good governance.
Yeah, man.
I ask again, why have you not joined in our call for strong public education to promote wholesome values and attitudes based on love and respect for our fellow citizens and playing by the rules or changing those rules if they're not fit for purpose? Why have you not joined in that? In my budget debate presentation last year, I stated a critical dimension which concerns many people a great deal and which I feel compelled to address is what may be referred to as the moral decay of the social fabric of our country. It is
serious, man.
Lack of respect and care in how we treat each other. The callousness of the behavior we see around us every day, and the corruption that has taken over the affairs of the nation.
Yes.
Indeed, it has everything to do with the values we uphold, which uphold our society and our attitudes to life and to each other in our society. That is what I said then. Former Prime Minister Percival James Patterson tried with a values and attitudes program.
Yes.
Sadly, it was sacrificed on the altar of partisan politics.
Yes.
And I think former Prime Minister Bruce Golding has acknowledged his regret about that. I remain committed to pursuing a national effort for a non-political movement that embraces principles and practices for the spiritual, moral, and ethical upliftment of Jamaica. I am committed to that.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those who was watching me this morning, that was a part of Mark Golding's speech last year, you know, his budget debate, you know. And I think it's critical that they do that. It's very sad that, you know, Mr. Bruce Golding had scrapped it, because really and truly, Jamaica's problem, the core of Jamaica's problem is at the culture, you know. It's those intricacies and ethics and the values, morals, you know, the integrity, honesty. That's where the core of our problems are in Jamaica. We have a very corrupt set of politicians running the country. Hashtag stop thief, criminal. And it's just the truth. It's just the truth. They are fattening their pockets and they don't care about the least vulnerable in this country. It is just the truth, Jamaica. The eyes that are clear to see. Even the persons, that actually support the Jamaica Labour Party, they know because they are beneficiaries of the system of corruption. Them get them look up so-called partner jaw. You understand? I'm telling you, man, the man is speaking the gospel at this point. I'm telling you, he's speaking the gospel, Jamaica. It's serious. We need a total overhaul, a serious level of change, and God has to be at the center of it. Because if we don't, it's not, Jamaica will never recover. Jamaica will be destroyed. That's a fact. Jamaica will be destroyed if we don't do that. Rescue Jamaica is a real thing, yeah? It's not just a saying. When PMP say, Nacho, what's up, Nacho? Salute, my brother. Big up, big up, big up. When they say rescue Jamaica, it's not just a talk. It's literal, like, we need that. We need that.
Moral and ethical upliftment of Jamaica. I am committed to that.
I don't know why this thing is so low, though.
Politicians should not lead that movement. As experience has taught us that the approach of politicians leading it would likely mean it doesn't get off the ground. But it must be supported, it must be facilitated, and it must be championed by the government of the day. And you are failing to do so.
They are.
As I said last year,
they are.
Our vision is that this movement will be led by spiritual and civic leaders who have the reputation, credibility, commitment, and desire to do so. Collectively, we must raise the bar as champions of change and restore the social fabric of this country.
Facts. Facts. What's up, Nacho? What's going on, man?
If we can do that, it will make it so much easier to overcome our challenges and achieve our economic and social goals. Integrity, Madam Speaker, is at the center of progress, and it is at the center of national development, and it must be at the center of inclusive and sustainable economic growth. Madam Speaker, the bureaucracy of the country must shift to a pro-growth philosophy and practice. The procurement system urgently needs to be reformed so that it does not unduly delay the execution of projects and programs.
Hey, Sassy.
Madam Speaker, the government has been delinquent in doing this. As it stands today, the bureaucracy always errs on the side of cautious control. I'm going to repeat that because it's an important point.
Yes.
As it stands today, the bureaucracy of Jamaica always errs on the side of cautious control. When our chronic low-growth situation requires bold steps forward. And I'm glad to see the Prime Minister applauding that point. The current arrangements are a big impediment to national development. Capital investment, especially in infrastructure, is a key input for stronger economic performance. But year after year, as I said, the capital budget is pared back because of a failure to execute capital expenditures on a timely basis. In the current fiscal year, 25-26, now ending, for example, the original budget was for $62.6 billion of capital expenditure, but that has been revised down in supplementary estimate to $55.4 billion. And in the prior fiscal year, 24-25, the original budget was for $80 billion of capital expenditure, and that ended up being $62 billion. In the fiscal policy paper, slower than anticipated project execution is given as the main cause of the performance. Slower than anticipated project execution. We are not sufficiently focused on tackling these inefficiencies. The slow is reflected in our legislative process, Madam Speaker. Laws of strategic importance that require urgent amendment or passage remain on the book for years without the problem being addressed. And there are many examples of this, and I'm going to mention 5. The amendment to the companies legislation to facilitate the migration to Jamaica of companies incorporated abroad. A bill was tabled by this government 3 or 4 years ago that would have done that. Not a word since. Secondly, the amendments to the 2022 firearms legislation to address the impact that it's having on the backlog in the criminal justice system. It needs to be fixed because it is causing big problems in the criminal justice system. Thirdly, the new Customs Act that entered Parliament over 5 years ago still hasn't made it into law. We're talking about the logistics, we're talking about trade, we're talking about the impetus for economic growth and development, and we can't get these critical laws passed in a timely fashion. Fourthly, the amendments to laws governing teenage promiscuity, which are throwing hundreds of adolescents before the court each year, despite the 2018 reform recommendations of the Joint Select Committee, which I was on and some of you were on, which reviewed these laws. These should be fixed urgently. And fifthly, the legislation to establish the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA. The veto announced last year to drive post-Minister reconstruction, but remains currently a mere department within the Office of the Prime Minister, with no legislative framework, no statutory powers, to enable it to pierce through the nasty bureaucracy and drive rapid transformation reconstruction.
Sad.
And because this legislative inefficiency negatively impacts our economy and our society.
And ladies and gentlemen, a while ago, yeah, my beat and teach them wicked. A while ago, you know, Mark Golding said something about the bureaucracy. And Andrew Wallace and some other people over there beat the bench. Listen, the difference between Mark Golding's suggestion and what they are about is 2 different things. Mark Golding is about having things done with speed, but also with integrity. So it's not just speed. It's not like a Daryl Vaza say, oh, I would do it again, even though he broke the law. Mark Golding is not about, you know, fast-tracking things to have loopholes for persons to steal. No, the man is a law-abiding citizen. The man is a lawyer. He is a legislator. He's a man of integrity. So he would not support a Daryl Vaz statement and actions like how Andrew Owen support the statement and action. And I don't know why them even not the bench, because Mark Golding has been beating them with the Integrity Commission situation. Right? Roslyn, how are you doing, Roslyn? Also, the fact that members of his parliament have breached over and over and over again and has not been sanctioned by the leader. That's poor leadership. They have breached the law over and over again and they have not been sanctioned. That is totally poor leadership, ladies and gentlemen. So this thing where he wants people to believe that, oh, you know, yeah, man, he might knock the bench and yes, he might mark goal. And I see some other you that over there knock the bench over the JP side along with the Prime Minister, right? I mean, I say, bro, you guys are not on the same wavelength mentally about how to get the country on the right path. Your actions versus what you say is night and day. Night and day. Well, let's continue.
As regards the first of those examples, in its preliminary review of the budget for 26-27, PricewaterhouseCoopers, the international accounting firm, audit firm, commented on the need for initiatives to encourage taxpayers to bring business activities and investments home to Jamaica. We have a big diaspora. We need to encourage them to bring their capital here.
Yeah, they don't want to come here.
PwC said, we're designed and implemented properly. This could bring in fresh economic activity that is currently taking place outside Jamaica, which in turn could bring in additional tax revenues after such activities or investments migrate to Jamaica. There is no good reason for this to remain in limbo, and it's consistent with what the opposition spokesman for finance said last Thursday about digital nomads, encouraging people abroad to come here, spend their money, and help to drive consumer demand, drive investment, and drive economic growth. Instead, what do I hear? I hear the Prime Minister retreating 30 years into his spin on FinTech. He will no doubt to seek to revise history to suit his desired narrative.
Yes.
That is the refuge of someone who has run out of ideas.
Yes. Run out of ideas, Marky G. Talk about it.
And Madam Speaker, he should have delivered a report that his government wasted over $150 million on and never delivered that story of FinTech. That report has never been delivered. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister's narrative cannot help Jamaica move forward.
Yes. Yes. Marky G, I beat him in a man.
Madam Speaker, while the country's fiscal reforms have achieved debt stabilization is not the same thing as economic optimization. As the government's track record shows, debt stabilization can coexist with economic stagnation. The government's February 2026 fiscal policy paper projects that the economy
a
severe contraction, negative growth. In their paper, they said 4.5% of GDP. I heard the finance minister saying it won't be as bad as that based on what the PIOJ has said recently, but it's still going to be severely negative for the current fiscal year, resulting from the catastrophic impact and ongoing effects of Hurricane Melissa. Unlike the economic contraction brought by the COVID pandemic, the current downturn is caused by real damage to the productive capacity of the country, especially in Western Jamaica. Assets that were damaged or destroyed include homes, business places, hotels, hospitals, schools, farming equipment and farms, etc., electricity transmission and distribution networks, water supply facilities, and other infrastructure. Madam Speaker, I have read that 215,000 buildings sustained damage of varying severity, including approximately 190,000 homes, of which 24,000, they say, were completely destroyed. The World Bank's estimate, based on intense aerial surveys after Melissa,
Angel rough it through
to the assets of this country, publicly and privately owned, was US $8.8 billion, that's about 1.36 trillion Jamaican dollars.
Wow. Approximately
40% of Jamaica's GDP, current GDP. The Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, the total loss to Jamaica from Melissa is $1.982 trillion Jamaican dollars, or approximately 56% of GDP. 56%. First, we have been hit very. Investment in recovery is needed to turn the negative cycle occasioned by Melissa's destruction into positive economic growth. Early investment. Some of us may be familiar with the proverb, early money is like yeast. And that proverb encapsulates the truism that early investment is needed to turn the situation around. The time to aggressively pursue recovery from the Melissa disaster and to set the platform for higher levels of sustainable growth is while the fiscal rules are suspended. Now is the time to drive GDP growth, because it will be much more challenging once the maximum 2-year suspension of the fiscal rules comes to an end. and the law does not permit any further extension. At that point, which is probably, I assume it will be extended for 2 years. It's going to for one, but I assume it will be 2 years. At that point, in other words, with the fiscal year commencing April 1, 2028, the fiscal rules will again kick in. The fiscal rules will require years of tight fiscal policy to generate higher surpluses, primary surpluses, that can bring the public debt down to the 60% legislative target by the legislative deadline. This will clamp down on expenditure, on infrastructure and other public goods. Having stripped the cupboard bare with the sell-off of the Norman Mann International Airport
Yes.
and the Stanks International Airport future revenues, no major forward sale of assets.
True. They're not shown for true.
At that time. And I was going to make one point, which is that although the fiscal policy paper has the target date for achieving 60% of GDP as 2030, March 31, 2030, in the law, it's still March 31, 2028. I assume the minister is going to bring legislation to fix that, but who knows? Madam Speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, when Mark Gold in the outline here, sir, you know, is super significant, you know. And Ralston Hyman has been saying this since last year. He said the Jamaican government need to ramp up production, because now Marky G is saying the fiscal rules being suspended for 2 years, maximum 2 years, and supposed to can suspend it for. Do you guys remember that Mark Golding had to correct Favour Williams and ask her why she only doing it the way how she proposed it in Parliament, is that the fiscal rules would only be suspended up until April 1st of this year? And he said, but no, why are you doing that? Don't you understand that the fiscal rules is supposed you can carry it up to 2 years? So why wouldn't you do it until the next year and then use the option again for the other year, depending on where we're at if we don't recover? Because it was such a catastrophic hit. Jamaica, it's like she never know what she do, or her team never know what she do. Who remember that? Who remember that? Is it just me? These things be coming to me. I remember when she was in the Parliament talking about the fiscal rules being suspended, and she mentioned 2026, April 1st, 2026, and he said, why would you stop it at April 21st, 2026? It should be April 1st, 2027. You understand? Good moment.
Okay, all right.
It should be April 1st, 2027. And then you have an option to go to April 1st, 2028, which he just reminded us of a while ago. So it's like, it's either them incompetent or them wicked, because why would you suspend the rules them? That had to be a mistake. But that's bad though, the fact that she's the finance minister and she's not on point where that is concerned. That's really, really bad. The point I'm making is, we gave the worst people the ship to steer. We had a competent team, intelligent team, motivated team, a team with vision. The People's National Party is rich with leadership, you know. Rich with leadership. You understand? Rich people who can really take the baton and move with it on behalf of the people. I could name a few, but I won't do that. That I see that have that leadership quality. But a Marky G we are work with, because the man prove himself and show himself. You understand what I say? So, why may I tell you, hey, we in feet, you know, because imagine, they are not ramping up the economy as fast as they should in terms of production. See? Imagine that. And these fiscal rules is going to have to go back to what he's saying it has to go back to. And the surplus and the amount of debt them have to go pay back. It's going to tighten a lot of things if they don't get it right, ladies and gentlemen. And as it stands right now, we have a war going on. And people are talking about Mr. Julian Robinson's ideas about the nomads. It's going to take that. Brother, fast track it, deal with it quickly, get it done. The taxes being collected, more efficiently, get it done. They need the money to do the right thing on behalf of we the people. It's not about taking more money from people. It's about taking the money that they supposed to get and have not been getting because people have been evading their taxes. Tax collection, Miss Christine Lagarde said it. She said one of the things that we need to tighten up, and she said it in 2024, is tax collection. Good evening, Dwayne. Yeah, let's continue, guys. My goodness.
To bring legislation to fix that, but who knows? Madam Speaker, with the fiscal rules being temporarily suspended, now is the time to really focus on driving recovery and growth. The government's housing repair program, ROOF, of $10 billion Jamaican for the current fiscal year, 25-26, is less than 1/3 of 1% of GDP. Less than 1/3 of 1% of GDP. The PIOJ said the damage to Jamaica is 56% of GDP. A $500,000 grant, Jamaican, to households rendered homeless by the storm. It is welcome, but it's also clearly inadequate to rebuild homes.
Clearly.
The same is true for the households that suffered major damage and are receiving $200,000 grants towards their repairs, and the $75,000 grant for those who suffered relatively minor damage. All of that money is welcome, no doubt, and we're glad for those who are getting it. But clearly it is insufficient to repair the major damage to the housing stock in Western Jamaica in particular. These grants are limited to those households that have been assessed by the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, and the numbers suggest that it will not cover 100% of those who suffered total loss or major damage. Many have not been assessed.
In eve of a true man. Terrible man.
$5 billion out of the $10 billion has been allocated to those whose homes have to be totally rebuilt, which implies support for only 10,000 households of the 24,000 homes that we're told have been totally destroyed. I'll say it again. Half of the $10 billion is for those who suffered major damage or total loss. Sorry, half of it, $5 billion is for those who suffered total loss. That can only support 10,000 households being rebuilt. And we are told that 24,000 households were totally destroyed. Clearly,
that means that 14,000 households.
$4 billion allocated to those needing major repairs, and $1 billion allocated to those needing less extensive repairs. This implies support for only 33,330 households out of 166,000 households.
What?
Estimated to have suffered damage needing repairs across both of those two categories.
Man.
And the upshot is that there is a real need for much more extensive investment in restoring decent, habitable shelter to Jamaicans who suffered housing damage in the hurricane.
Mighty God.
Much of that damage is uninsured. Homes that receive only partial repairs and are not restored to full habitability will mean families that are hobbled by unplanned housing repair costs for months and years to come. This will only reduce their disposable income to spend on the ordinary needs of life and feed into further economic malaise, the various manifestations of poverty, and worsen the growing problem of mental illness.
Yes.
The ROOF program also appears to ignore the element of resilience in its design, merely handing out grants of amounts which are manifestly insufficient to cover the cost of adequate repairs, guarantees that households resort to the least cost approaches to effecting those repairs, so the money is enough, so they don't have to take a stretch. This is clearly short-sighted, Madam Speaker, as Jamaicans should be using construction materials and techniques that will make their homes more resilient to future climate disasters than they were before.
This is a lot. I'm not lie. True, it's a lot.
And I ask, where is the guidance and supervision to ensure that basic but effective techniques to ensure greater resilience are followed? I don't see anything. Public education telling people how to read in the roof properly that makes it more resilient in a low-budget way. I don't hear that. Where is the monitoring to ensure the use of bolts rather than nails and straps and other relatively low-cost construction inputs to provide greater resilience to hurricane wind and rain? I don't see it. That was 25-26, Madam Speaker. What are we to expect from the budget for the coming 26-27 fiscal year? Well, despite the massive hit to our economy and the growing despair and anger that many thousands of Jamaicans feel who really need help, the budget for the coming year allocates a contingency of $30 billion Jamaican for capital expenditure on recovery from Hurricane Melissa. 30 billion Jamaican dollars. That is less than 20 billion to hurricane wind and rain. I don't see it. That was 25-26, Madam Speaker. What are we to expect from the budget for the coming 26-27 fiscal year? Well, despite the massive hit to our economy and the growing despair and anger that many thousands of Jamaicans feel who really need help, the budget for the coming year allocates a contingency of $30 billion Jamaican for capital expenditure on recovery from Hurricane Melissa. 30 billion Jamaican dollars. That is less than 1% of GDP. Country suffered 56% of GDP loss, including 40% of physical asset loss. And the allocation for capital expenditure for Hurricane Melissa recovery in the coming fiscal year is less than 1% of GDP.
Grossly inadequate.
Also brings a tax package of $18 billion at a time when the economy is reeling from Melissa and the war in the Middle East.
Exactly.
To drive up the cost of living.
Yes.
This is not a budget to drive economic recovery.
No.
And, Madam Speaker, when you look at the fiscal policy paper the government tabled in February last month, it projects negative real GDP growth of 0.5% negative of GDP for the coming fiscal year, 2026-27. And this is not surprising, as the tax package will reduce disposable income and further constrain consumer demand. And I have a bit more to say on some of those measures shortly. This aspect of the budget will therefore be pro-cyclical in its effect. What does that mean? It will suppress consumer demand and reinforce the downward spiral of the economy rather than pushing against the downward spiral to turn it into a virtuous circle. It is pro-cyclical instead of counter-cyclical when the cycle is heading in the wrong direction. This could not come at a worse time because the war in the Middle East is driving up oil and gas prices. And it's not just oil and gas prices. It is going to include fertilizers, it's going to include plastics that are used in manufacturing, and so many other things, because in that area, the Persian Gulf, natural gas production is being shut down, oil and gas can't escape, and this is part of the whole supply chain for food production of the world and the manufacturing production of the world. Petrochemicals are a critical ingredient in fertilizers and in pharmaceutical drugs and so many other things. So we're really looking at a dread situation. The combination of the post-Melissa hardship, the Middle East war, and the government's tax package is a toxic cocktail. Toxic.
Yo, may I tell you, it's not going normal in Jamaica.
To the Jamaican people. And Prime Minister, you need to tell the people when you speak on Thursday what your plans are for protecting the society from the impact of this Middle East war. Especially those who are still struggling to get their lives back together. After Melissa. That's what people want to hear from you.
Yes. Yes.
You want to talk about things, bring the report. Bring the report and let us do it, things.
Yes.
Bring the report.
Yes. Bring the report, Anjo. Bring the report. One mortgagee.
Outlined by the opposition spokesperson for finance. Bring the report.
Oh, it frees up there, sir. Okay. It frees up.
Outlined by the opposition spokesperson for finance. Last.
So they want to deal with the internet wicked, so they don't want to hear truth.
Of course, into continuing to extract funds from the National Housing Trust. There are other options, and a better way forward is possible.
Of course.
Our finance spokesperson. Rather than unimaginative bookkeeping solutions, the government could have avoided imposing 29.4.
No, man, why do I do this to Mark Golding's speech?
On the Jamaican people for the coming fiscal year. As he has shown, there is a better way. The impact on the debt to GDP ratio of financing the gap without resorting to additional taxation is minimal, a mere 0.44% of GDP. Our approach would leave more money in the pockets of the Jamaican people and more reserves in the National Housing Trust to help reverse the negative GDP growth that Jamaica is now suffering and drive recovery at a faster rate. We have a better plan.
Of course.
A better plan.
Of course. But they're not going to implement it because they have too much pride. All right, Matthew, that's awesome. Why them are dealing with mortgages, pizza?
And will mainly come out of the pocket of low-income households. Similarly, 3.6 billion Jamaican dollars is increasing. There's an increase in the Environmental Protection Levy, the EPL, which will be borne by consumers again when manufacturers and importers pass on those costs to consumers. Jamaicans are already facing hard times with a cost of living crisis after the Minister disaster. It's going to be made even worse by this tax package that the government is imposing on the people.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, what? So much cut.
These revenue measures will have an inflationary impact, pushing up the cost of living on the Jamaican people at a time when the cost of living is spiking due to the war in the Middle East. As I've said, bitter medicine is on its way.
Poison, you mean?
Spokesman pointed out,
Poison.
despite the way that these measures have been sold to the public, neither of the taxes on sweetened beverages or the Environmental Protection Levy, neither of them is designed in a way which will improve public health or...
Oh my God, bro! You look like somebody go to the next.
Not on the amount of sugar in the liquid.
I want if the debate done.
Okay.
Furthermore,
you know
the
done.
mere fact that the government intends to collect this tax, which is how it's funding its budget.
You're not done. Still I go on.
They're not seeking to reduce consumption. And I want to show you.
What time is it now? 5 o'clock.
500 milliliters.
What time you start?
Half a liter.
Only parting I go on for him address still not so. I expect that one to be a lengthy speech.
Make 1 liter. And for 400.
Alright. This.
Frank gas in Jamaica. And for $200. A liter of gas at the pump is $185. Water costs more than gas in Jamaica.
Water costs more than gas in Jamaica? Wow, high in the reader. What?
$200 for 2 bottles, making 1 liter, $185 per liter at the pump. Water costs more than gas in Jamaica. If we really want to encourage healthy consumption, then remove the DCC from water.
Wow. Wow. That's a suggestion, right? That is a suggestion.
Another healthy alternative so the people can afford to buy them. The Environmental Protection Levy, the EPL, has nothing to do with environmental protection. Despite its name, the money goes straight into the consolidated fund,
Yes.
general revenue, not earmarked for any environmental cause whatsoever. It's just like any other tax, and it's used to fund expenditures generally, not to fund environmental expenditures. Furthermore, the announced change to the EPL will favor importers and make local manufacturers less competitive to the EPL tax as genuine environmental protection.
So you're telling me that the Environment Protection Levy, the Environment Protection Levy is not being used for environment protection? That's what you're telling me. It's going into the consolidatory fund. The JMEA, they have been coming out against the government policies from the other day, you know, them brawling with it, you know. One brown, one white lady. And she, if you have a picture, me always see on the article. Say environmental protection levy could strain manufacturing sector. Wow. Wow. Boy.
Despite its name, the money goes straight into the consolidated fund as since Biden. The Environmental Protection Levy, the EPL, has nothing to do with environmental protection. Despite its name, the money goes straight into the consolidated fund as general revenue, not earmarked for any environmental cause whatsoever. It's just like the other tax, and it's used to fund expenditures generally, not to fund environmental expenditures in particular. Furthermore, the announced change to the EPL will favor importers and make local manufacturers less competitive, and that is a very bad thing. We need to encourage local manufacturing and value added here, not importing value added from abroad. We need to drive growth and create wealth in the country. As it stands now, the EPL is applied to 100% of the CIF value of import, but it's applied to 75% of the sale price of locally manufactured goods. This differential, 100% on the import, CIS side, 70%, 75% on the sales price of locally manufactured goods. That differential recognizes different positions that are occupied by importers and manufacturers in the local supply chain. Importers add their profit margin to the CIS value, and there then may be additional margins added by distributors and possibly retailers. Applying the EPL to 75% of the local manufactured good price seeks to level the playing field, as the manufacturer sale price includes all of the value added of their input costs and their profit margin. The government is now moving to apply the EPL, the Environmental Protection Levy, to 100% of the sale price of locally manufactured goods, from 75 to 100%. Also, it is increasing the rate of the EPL from half of 1% to 0.8%. That's 60% increase in the rate. This means that the cost burden of the EPL to local manufacturers will be greater than it is to importers, favoring imports over local manufacturing of competing products, of exchangeable products. This is a major design flaw in the new tax, and it needs to be corrected. And I'm calling the Minister of Finance to correct it.
Now, what Mr. Golding is talking about now, ladies and gentlemen, is something that the JMEA came out and actually criticized. That exact same thing. You understand? How it's going to affect the manufacturers, because it was at 75% and now they're 100. These articles I have reacted to and they're on my platform, because when I read them I said, no man, this is important. This is important. If the manufacturers them a ball, it means one, two things is gonna happen. Usually it's we the consumer that loses. Alright? Is there an agenda to push overseas products on the people of Jamaica and not have us consume our local products? Is there an agenda for that? That would be my first question. My second question would be, if there's no agenda, why is it that you are actually working against the local manufacturers in raising up the thing from 75 to 100? When they raise it up to that, they will have to mark up the prices of the goods them at a higher level, and then it's now left to the consumer. Will you buy, will you support the local stuff that is more expensive, or are you going to actually purchase the cheaper stuff that might not be good for you, might give you some type of, ailment that might send you to the hospital, right? And it is widely known that a lot of the stuff that is in the Western market, the stuff, the ingredients that are in them, in the Eastern markets, they are not in them, because the government clamped down against those ingredients, because the research show that they actually do damage to your health. So we really have to be careful about all these imported goods that we are consuming. Not all of them, but people need to go and do their research and their edification for their own well-being and their family well-being, based off of what you consume from overseas. No look a joke about it, Jamaica. And this goes back to even food security as well. Investing in agriculture. I'm telling you, it's a lot. It's a lot, Jamaica. But let me go to I'm gonna go to this feed, because something is wrong. Something is intrinsically wrong with the feed that I got from the team PNP. I don't know if it's the same, but the audio is not traveling with the thing.
Some will buy homes. They will contribute to the economy. Madam Speaker, in public health facilities and stuff. Done so much to help Jamaica.
Rotted.
Of customs leakage would yield $8 billion annually, and would also reinforce inland compliance. I move to Minister under his watch as Minister with responsibility for NHT, because NHT falls under him. This government has passed legislation twice to extend that extraction of resources each year for 10 years while they've been in office. In fact, Since they came to power in 2016, they have withdrawn 114 billion must be facilitated, which uphold our society and our attitudes to life. Those that suffered major damage and are receiving $200,000 for help. Despite the massive hit, person has drilled down and shown a bottle of water contains 500 milliliters, which is half a liter, and it costs $100 on the street or in a corner shop. 2 of these bottles of water make 1 liter and cost $200. A liter of gas at the pump is $185. Water costs more than gas in Jamaica. Is on sweetened beverages and will mainly better medicine to the Jamaican people. And Prime Minister, you need to tell the people when you speak on Thursday what your plans are for protecting the demand, and I have a bit more to say on some of those measures shortly. This aspect of the budget will therefore be pro-cyclical in its effect. What does that mean? It will suppress consumer demand.
We have to go over this because you never...
downward spiral of the economy rather than pushing against the downward spiral to turn it into a virtuous circle. It is pro-cyclical instead of counter-cyclical when the cycle is heading in the wrong direction. This could not come at a worse time.
Something wrong with the PMP
but
fee.
the war in the Middle East is driving up oil and gas prices. And it's not just oil and gas prices. It is going to include fertilizers. It's going to include plastics that are used in manufacturing and so many other things, because in that area, the Persian Gulf, natural gas production is being shut down, oil and gas can't escape, and it is part of the whole supply chain for the food production of the world and the manufacturing production of the world. Petrochemicals are a critical ingredient in fertilizers and in pharmaceutical drugs and so many other things. So we're really looking at a dread situation. The combination of the post-military hardship, the Middle East war, and the government's tax package is a toxic cocktail. Toxic. It will be bitter medicine to the Jamaican people. And Prime Minister, you need to tell the people when you speak on Thursday what your plans are for protecting the society from the impact of this Middle East war. Especially those who are still struggling to get their lives back together after Minister. That's what the people want to hear from you, not Finsta. If you want to talk about Finsta, bring the report. Bring the report and let us debate Finsta. Bring the report and let us debate Finsta. Madam Speaker, as expertly outlined by the for Finance last Thursday, the government was not forced into this tax package. It was not forced.
Yeah, may I use that one? May I use now?
There are other options, and a better way forward is possible.
We go to the PBC website. That's why I go over this, because when I chop up.
Down and shown in detail that by focusing on the needs of the post-military economy rather than unimaginative bookkeeping solutions, the government could have avoided imposing 29.4 billion in new revenue measures, 18.1 billion of new taxes, and 11.4 billion of NHT extraction on the Jamaican people for the coming fiscal year. As we have shown, there is a better way. The impact on the debt-to-GDP ratio of financing the gap without resorting to additional taxation is minimal, a mere 0.44% of GDP. In the pockets of the Jamaican people, and more reserved in the National Housing Trust to help reverse the negative GDP growth that Jamaica is now suffering and drive recovery at a faster rate. We have a better plan.
Fox that.
Madam Speaker, looking at the tax measures, they are problematic. 10.1 billion Jamaican dollars of tax package is on sweetened beverages and will mainly come out of the pockets of low-income households. Similarly, 3.6 billion Jamaican dollars is increasing. There's an increase in the environmental protection levy, the EPL, which will be borne by consumers again when manufacturers and importers pass on those costs to consumers. Jamaicans are already facing hard times.
Yes.
With a cost of living crisis after the minister disaster. It's going to be made even worse by this tax package.
Of course.
The government is imposing on the people. And it's coming at a time when the Middle East war is going to start giving us a severe beating as well. These revenue measures will have an inflationary impact, pushing up the cost of living on the Jamaican people at a time when the cost of living is spiking due to the war in the Middle East. As I've said, bitter medicine is on its way.
Bitter medicine.
As our finance spokesman pointed out, despite the way that these measures have been sold to the public, neither of the taxes on sweetened beverages or the Environmental Protection Levy. Neither of them is designed in a way which will improve public health or support environmental causes. Neither of them. The tax on sweetened drinks is imposed on the volume of liquid in the container, not on the amount of sugar in the liquid in the container. And therefore, it provides no incentive for beverage manufacturers to reduce sugar content. Furthermore, the mere fact that the government intends to collect this tax, which is how it's funding its budget, shows that it intends for the beverages to be purchased anyway, so to generate
exactly.
tax. And they're not seeking to reduce consumption.
Nope.
And I want to just show you. This bottle of water contains 500 milliliters, which is half a liter, and it costs $100 on the street or in a corner shop. 2 of these bottles of water make 1 liter and cost $200. A liter of gas at the pump is $185. Water costs more than gas in Jamaica.
My goodness.
$200 for 2 bottles, making 1 liter, $185 per liter at the pump. Water costs more than gas in Jamaica. If we really want to encourage healthy consumption, then remove the DCC from water.
Aye.
And another healthy alternative so that the people can afford to buy them. The Environmental Protection Levy, the EPL, has nothing to do with environmental protection. Despite its name, the money goes straight into the consolidated fund as general revenue, not earmarked for any environmental cause whatsoever. It's just like any other tax, and it's used to fund expenditures generally, not to fund environmental expenditures in particular. Furthermore, the announced change to the EPL will favor importers and make local manufacturers less competitive.
Extreme beauty.
We need to encourage local manufacturing and value added here, not importing value added from abroad.
Yes.
We need to drive growth and create wealth in the country. As it stands now, the EPL is applied to 100% of the CIF value of import, but it's applied to 75% of the sale price of locally manufactured goods. This differential, 100% on the import, CIF value, 75% on the sales price of locally manufactured goods, that differential recognizes different positions that are occupied by importers and manufacturers in the local supply chain. Importers add their profit margin to the CIF value, and there then may be additional margins added by distributors and possibly retailers. Applying the EPL to 75% of the local manufactured good price seeks to level the playing field, as the manufacturer sale price includes all of the value added of their input cost and their profit margin. The government is now
Marty G finally done his speech.
Apply the EPL, the Environmental Protection Levy, to 100% of the sale price of locally manufactured goods, from 75 to 100%. Also,
just done it a while ago.
Of the EPL, from half of 1% to 0.8%. That's a 50% increase in the rate. This means that the cost burden of the EPL to local manufacturers will be greater than it is to importers, favoring imports over local manufacturing.
Exactly.
Of competing products, of exchangeable products.
Yes.
This is a major design flaw.
Major.
And it needs to be corrected. And I'm calling the Minister of Finance to correct it.
Of course, if she don't correct that, it tells us everything we need to know. Yeah.
Madam Speaker, in the Minister's Revenue Measures Ministry Paper number 17, the Minister of Finance said that the government is putting GCC on digital services and intangibles purchased from overseas providers by consumers in Jamaica. It says that this is projected to raise 300 million Jamaican dollars in the last quarter of the coming fiscal year. That's between January and March 2027. And $4.2 billion in the following fiscal year, 27-28. But in her budget speech last Tuesday, the minister spread confusion and muddied the water by seeking to justify this new tax as protecting local retailers. How can imposing GCC on digital services help local retailers? It is policy incoherent. And in 2024, their government already provided an incentive for imported goods that are purchased online. They doubled the customs duty threshold from $50 US to $100 US. So they're moving in two competing directions. But the truth of the matter is that if it's a digital services tax on intangibles, it really has no impact on retailers. Madam Speaker, I want to say a little bit about the draining of the National Housing Trust. This year, we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the National Housing Trust.
Hey, beat them, Marty G, beat them.
and is a transformational institutional innovation of the late great Prime Minister Michael Joshua Myers. Sadly, the budget for the coming fiscal year 26-27 again includes non-tax revenue of 11.4 billion Jamaican dollars in the form of a transfer of resources out of the National Housing Trust to the government's coffers to pay its housekeeping expense. We must recall that this was originally introduced in 2013 as a temporary 4-year measure ending in 2017. It was written into the law as a 4-year measure. It was necessary at that time because we were at the height of Jamaica's debt crisis, when Jamaica was required to achieve
Market G comedy receipt them, you know. I first me see the article here.
% of GDP each year to turn the economy onto a path of debt sustainability. Remember at that time the debt was not at 140%, not 60% where it is now. And that was necessary. And it's achieved that, and I must tell you, I was in cabinet at the time. We were all very concerned about it. An international accounting firm, independent firm, confirmed to us in writing at the time that the removal of the 11.4 billion per year for 4 years would not undermine the operating performance of the National Housing Trust because of the surpluses it had and the pace at which it was rolling out investment. That is the only basis on which we were prepared to move with. 4 years and 4 years only.
Whoa!
And it achieved the objective. And Jamaica was able to discontinue the borrowing relationship with IMF in 2017 at the end of our program. Despite those circumstances, the then opposition vehemently criticized it at the time.
Yes.
Vehemently. They even likened it to bank robbery.
Yes.
And the leader of that party, Andrew Holness, who is now the Prime Minister, said he would never let that happen. He said he would ring-fence the National Housing Trust.
Yes. Beat him, Market G.
And he committed to reverse
Beat him.
should he become Prime Minister.
Beat him.
He became Prime Minister. He committed to reversing it should he become Prime Minister. Well, he became Prime Minister in 2016, and they have proceeded to amend the law twice to extend it by a further 8 years. And in the throne speech last month, they said they're going to take it for 5 more years.
Yes.
Oh my God, his words were utterly false. Utterly false.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just caught something a while ago. You see when Mark Golding said that a while ago? Andrew Honest look up, looking to see if the cameraman, I believe he looked up to look, or he might look for Mark Golding. He look to see if the cameraman I catch him. I don't catch that Mark there, you know. Me, you catch him, you know. You know me, he's staring.
From being taken by the government. And he committed.
Alright, see there? Him eye this set for Mark Golding like so. Because Mark Golding they almost right across from him, if not across from him. Andrew Honest look up for either the teleprompter or something. Him eye catch something up at top. I don't know if it's the cameraman or the screen to show the entire parliament to see who. Because you know, so they probably have that where you can show you say, alright, the cameraman is on you. Yo, you want to see my look up? Andrew, you know, so we are screenshot this. This I go on the thumbnail. Got him. No man, Market G. This is not even half a Market G speech. Oh, Market G I go so hard. Market G come with fire in him belly. For them today.
To reverse it, should he become Prime Minister? Well, he became Prime Minister in 2016, and they have proceeded to amend the law twice to extend it by a further 8 years. And in the throne speech last month, they said they're going to take it for 5 more years again. Oh my God, his words were utterly false.
Utterly false. Utterly false, Market G. See there? See there? When he did that parliament.
As Minister with responsibility for NHC, because NHC falls under him.
Oh God.
The government has passed legislation twice to extend that extraction of resources for 10 years while they've been.
When him say him never when I go do it. What a disgrace.
Since they came to power in 2016, they have withdrawn $114 billion from the NHC
Thief.
as non-tax revenue.
Thief. Robbery.
They continued over that period, despite Jamaica needing to increase the construction of affordable houses by 15,000 per year to satisfy the unmet demand. And despite Jamaica having left the IMF borrowing program in 2017, they have no excuse for it.
None.
Now the government, as I said in the throne speech, has
Jada, what's up?
it again for 5
I tell you.
years. That means that they're going to reduce the financial base of the NHC by a further $57 billion over the next 5 years. At a time when Jamaica's housing stock in western parishes has been decimated by militia, these resources should be deployed by the NHP.
Wow.
It should be used to rebuild resilient homes for the many thousands of households who have suffered
Of course.
degrees of damage to the houses. Many of them are NHP subscribers. This is not the time to be drawing the money out of NHP to balance the government's fiscal account. With a mere $30 billion, less than 1% of GDP allocated in the budget towards military recovery expenditure in the coming fiscal year, the NHP should be empowered and mandated to play a much greater part in restoring resilient shelter in Western Jamaica.
Nikisha, what's up, Nikisha? Blessings.
This is not the time to be depleting the resources of Jamaica's most important housing institution.
Yes.
Bad policy.
Bad policy.
Bad policy.
Hey, me say, Andrew Holness, I get so much beating, you know, man. The man just, see ya? We don't look a smile on his face. What is he going to say? Practical, realistic solution. Exactly. Not only did Mark Golding beat and teach, he gave solutions. He gave solutions. He pointed out the inadequacies, right? And gave them an alternative. They got alternatives. So then can't say, oh, they are just criticizing, but they have no plan. If you hear any labor right say that the devil is a liar, it means them not listening. What they're doing is throwing cold water on the alternative solutions that actually are better. You see, the two major plans that Mr. Julian Robinson, the People's National Party, came up with, you know, he gave what you would call mediocre targets in terms of the potential amount of money that could be earned. It was very conservative. Very, very conservative. But when you look at the conservativeness, it's wise that he did that. Because imagine if the government was to move with speed and actually implement the ideas that the People's National Party gave them. Can you imagine Jamaica? How much money they could have access to accelerate the economy in the next 2 years, right? Before we reach to a point where the fiscal rules and fiscal discipline laws would be enacted again. And then you have to look at the potential of a possible hurricane down the line in this hurricane season to come. What will that do? And not just hurricanes. If you guys don't realize it, if you're living in Jamaica, regular rainfall is doing significant damage to infrastructure because of what? The drains are not clean, the roads are not done well. You understand? And so farms are being destroyed, the roads are being destroyed, buildings are being destroyed, homes are being destroyed because the water is diverting, and bridges are being destroyed, and infrastructure like this are being destroyed. And the Jamaica Labour Party also has an issue with spending the capital budget. They have been underspending the capital budget. The bottleneck that Mr. Julian Robinson spoke about in terms of all those different, you know, ministries and of responsibility and agencies in the Prime Minister's office, the office of the Prime Minister. That in itself is a hindrance. You understand? That in itself is a hindrance to our growth. I mean, I don't understand what the labor right them don't understand about it. They say, Jada said, and he linked the solution to what is the manifesto. You know? Yes. So basically, I show how Jamaica trajectory would change should the PMP plans be implemented. Yes, of course. That's exactly what he did expertly. Can you imagine the Ease and the Ride program? I said it this morning. Can you imagine the Ease and the Ride program, ladies and gentlemen? That would at least help people that know really definitely can't pay for them to go to school. If you go to school, you understand? I know that the target was 50,000 children. 50,000 children in 3 years because I listened it back. But at least it would be there. And then the food program where they would get those sustainable meals. I mean, that in itself would have the PMP focus more on the local market. Miss Curiosity, kid, how you doing? that in itself would have the PNP focus more on the local market, right? So farmers, this thing that's happening with the farmers and the onion and all those things, and those things, and yo, I'm telling you, man, Jamaica really missed the ball, and in a way, when I look back at it now, I am now seeing clearly and clearer now how genius God is. Because I'm telling you, this hurricane has exposed the underbelly of the problems that were there under this administration. It make you see how bad things were, because we couldn't even, like, it's such at a catastrophically low level. We literally, and then the mighty God, the war. Jamaica is getting a beating, you know. I don't think you understand. Like, we are really getting a beating, you know. The pressure is on the people overseas, you know. More pressure that was already there, because they have been sustaining families in Jamaica, helping families to pay them bills, for buy food. No, it's gonna get worse, because them are under pressure to cut them there in the United States, and oil prices is going up. Oil prices is going up. My God, yo, we're in a trouble, man. This is bitter poison that we're being fed.
To be depleting the resources of Jamaica's most important housing institution. Bad policy, Prime Minister. Bad policy.
Bad policy.
I move now.
Him no hard boy. Him no hard boy. My feel pressure over there no hard boy.
In the context of the need to drive recovery, I am concerned that the allocation of 100 billion Jamaican dollars for central government capital expenditure in the coming fiscal year is likely to be spent, a good portion of it, given the chronic strictures of the procurement rules and other bottlenecks that have been impeding the effective execution of capital projects year after year after year. I believe it will be more effective to channel a part of these resources through the municipal corporations and agencies that operate at the community level, such as the SDC, RADA, Solid Waste and Water Commission, in executing relatively small but urgently needed tasks in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. These resources should be deployed to undertake the removal of fallen tree debris, restoring pedestrian walkways and footpaths, restoring fences around publicly owned property, repairing catchment tanks, cleaning the intakes to springs, cleaning side drains and culverts, repairing broken retaining walls, and other small structural repairs and the like. That would repair the environment in which we live, and I mean the living conditions around us. And it would repair the mentality of our people of the living squalor and destination for Melissa. And it would help to, it would be counter-cyclical, it would help to push against the malaise that we're now in and check us out of this now. Madam Speaker, in the quest for greater fiscal space to fund investment to drive national development, there's also another revenue strategy which urgently needs to be pursued. The design of a tax system determines its performance more than the rates of tax themselves. Where systems are fragmented, revenue leaks and is not collected. Where systems are integrated and digitally verified, compliance becomes automatic. PricewaterhouseCoopers, in their preliminary review of the budget, highlighted the importance of increasing tax compliance. And I quote, so that everyone bears their fair share rather than the burden falling on those who meet the moment and pay their taxes as part of their civic duty. End of quote. I think the next stage of Jamaica's economic reform should not be about increasing tax rates. That is lazy, unimaginative, and is an approach being taken by this government which should change its path. We say no to that. It is bad economics and will be damaging to the economy and the Jamaican people in our current circumstances. I think I should remind them, it is the PNP that reduced personal income tax from 33% to 25%.
Remind them, Marky G.
That reduced VCC from 17.5% down to 16%.
Remind them. Man at the moment.
We don't believe in high taxes, but there are times when taxes are necessary, and it was necessary after Bruce Golding and Andrew Hollis drove the economy.
Yes! Beat them on John. Beat him! Beat him!
Increasing tax rates.
Beat. Let me play that again. No, we can't. No.
From 17.5% down to 16%. That reduced personal income tax from 33% to 25%. It's the PNP that reduced VCT from 17.5% down to 16%.
Oh.
We are a high tax. We don't believe in high taxes. But there are times when taxes are necessary, and it was necessary after Bruce Golding and Andrew Hollis drove the economy into a precipice.
Tell them market G. Tell them market G. Make them know.
Increasing tax rates and putting in new taxes on the people when you're in an economic slump is bad economics. And will be damaging to the economy and the Jamaican people in our current circumstances.
Of course.
The next stage should be about ensuring that the taxes that are already on the books, are fully and fairly realized.
Yeah.
A revenue system should be judged by how much of what is legally due is actually collected consistently, efficiently, and equitably. Where leakage persists, compliant businesses and compliant consumers shoulder a disproportionate burden of the tax. Where there's leakage, where enforcement is episodic, occasional, arbitrary, fairness erodes. Where systems are fragmented, borrowing costs rise, and compliant taxpayers suffer. In my March 2024 budget presentation, I said this to the current Minister of Finance's predecessor. Minister, I said, the current 15th March deadline is pretty rough on everyone who has to file their taxes. Getting the past year's accounts audited and then preparing the tax returns all by the 15th March is really too much of a crunch. An April deadline could ease the pressure significantly. It's time for change. I continue. Other countries have later deadlines, which helps with their budgeting and financial planning. So why not take a leaf out of their book? It would give taxpayers who file more time to get their taxes right and would improve the accuracy of tax filing. It also improves compliance by allowing a more reasonable deadline. It would be a step towards a stronger, more stable economy. End of quote. I'm encouraged to make some further recommendations today because in February, a month ago, we passed legislation partially implementing that recommendation, partially. I say partially because the change in the filing deadline from March to April only applies to taxpayers which are corporations. Individuals and professional firms that operate as partnerships still have to file by the 15th of March. And Madam Speaker, I am encouraging the government to streamline this so that everyone benefits from the more sensible and practical April filing date.
Hey, you hear that? More recommendations from the teacher. Teach them.
The success of the tax amnesty in the first quarter of 2025, a year ago, which collected 10.5 billion Jamaican dollars in outstanding taxes, illustrates the benefit of providing taxpayers with attractive mechanisms for coming forward voluntarily to settle outstanding tax matters and regularize their tax affairs. I support the call for a voluntary structured tax settlement program to be developed and implemented in Jamaica. It was, again, in Pricewaterhouse's circular on the current budget, and I think it's a very good idea to be supported. Jamaica also needs to seriously pursue a structural integration of systems so that tax compliance becomes automatic rather than discretionary. Some estimates, which I've seen, suggest that the improved realization across key revenue categories could yield up to 60 billion Jamaican dollars annually without increasing any tax rates or imposing any new taxes at all. Our finance spokesperson provided a telling example last Thursday of how $8.6 billion of this can be achieved in the coming fiscal year. And, you know, the truth is that if we had a year to roll out, we would collect a lot more than 8.6 billion. And he conservatively puts the 8.6 billion because he recognizes that it will take some months of concerted effort, serious management of the system, backed by serious political will to make it happen. But it could be done. GCT, General Consumption Tax, is Jamaica's largest indirect tax, and it is projected to generate 330 billion Jamaican dollars in the upcoming fiscal year. And the related tax, the Special Consumption Tax, SCT, is projected to generate another $113 billion Jamaican. The system requires businesses to collect these indirect taxes at the point of sale, hold it in their cash flow temporarily for a period, and then remit it later. That time lag creates opportunity for under-reporting, inflated input credits, nil returns despite commercial activity, and fraudulent refund claims. Enforcement relies heavily on audits after the fact, and these are costly and necessarily selective and unevenly applied. Many countries have addressed this, not by raising rates, but by redesigning the tax architecture. Electronic invoicing systems are now standard across much of Latin America and parts of Europe and Asia, requiring invoices to be digitally validated in near real time. Every transaction is timestamped. Every input credit must match a verified supplier invoice. Returns are auto-populated from validated data. That shift is transformative. It moves the system from post-event enforcement to transaction-level verification. The documented increase in revenue collection from implementing these systems actually ranges from 5 to 15%, depending on the level of previous compliance. For Jamaica, even a conservative projection of 2% improvement in effective GCC and FCC realization would yield $8.6 billion annually as our finance in the first year. And of course, it would pick up more as we ramp compliance.
Of course.
And get everybody to adopt the system.
Monica, we are dealing. Hey, Mr. Mark Golden dealing with it wicked.
No GCC or FCC rate increase is required. None.
None.
Just better system design. The government will like to tell us it isn't assured and it can't be done. That's what I expect to hear. Well, I'm here to tell you that the political will, that with political will and effective management driven by dynamic and energetic leadership, it could and should be done without delay.
Without delay.
I will now share some other examples of how to optimize revenues over the next 3 years without increasing taxes, as we seek to finance strong recovery from Melissa and build back better. And I do so in a spirit of goodwill to all Jamaicans on both sides of the aisle. I'm not hiding it, I'm sharing it.
Sharing it.
I moved income tax, which is the largest tax type, projected to yield $342 billion in the upcoming fiscal year. In this case, leakage flows from artificial loss positions, profit declarations that bear little resemblance to import volumes or sector margins, weak withholding adherence, and payroll inconsistency. This is all sources of leakage in the income tax system. The fundamental issue is structural. Tax filings are treated as isolated submissions rather than nodes in an integrated economic data network. A modern compliance system would automatically link income tax declaration to GCC turnover data, customs import declarations, payroll filings, beneficial ownership records, director compliance history, and municipal corporation approvals of projects and so on. So, for example, if a company imports $150 million in goods, but declares $20 million in turnover and a tax loss, the system would automatically flag that anomaly. A 5% improvement in effective income tax realization would yield $17 billion.
At our 5 press.
Again, this has nothing to do with raising taxes.
What go on, mama?
And getting people to pay what they owe.
Yo. Me say the man a beat and you know?
Customs duties are projected to earn 78 billion Jamaican dollars in the upcoming fiscal year. And while this is a significant revenue source, the importance of international trade taxes extends beyond the port. When imports are undervalued or misclassified, GCC on imports is understated. Profit margins are distorted. Income tax collections decline. Sector comparisons become unreliable. Digital valuation tools and automated inland reconciliation can address this source of revenue leakage. Import data should inform expected turnover bands and profitability benchmarks automatically. Outliers should be visible in real time. A 10% reduction of customs leakage.
Him not gonna do it, brat. Him not do it, you know.
Of customs leakage.
How
would
wicked.
yield $8 billion annually, and would also reinforce inland compliance. I move to municipal corporation approvals. Municipal building approvals represent hundreds of billions of dollars in economic activity each year. Municipal building approvals of hundreds of billions of dollars in economic activity each year. Yet they are disconnected from tax reporting systems. A developer may construct $600 million projects while filing
Sexy
minimal
happy,
GCC
where are
returns
they?
and declaring little or no income.
Talk about it.
Probably know about that.
Hold on, where you say a while ago?
$100 million project while filing minimal GCC returns and declaring little or no income. And I think some of us in there probably know about that.
More shot fire for Andrew. Yo. No. We not gonna just pass that, you know. We not gonna just pass that, you know. You know, call no name in Jamaica, but we not just pass that. No, Marky G, I give it too much tea today. He said we feel like a Chinese. The more that tea me I drink from me start listen to this. Whoa, man. No. Oh my God. No, wait. No, Jamaica, bear with me. No, Jamaica, bear with me. No, bear with me. So TikTok, good day TikTok. It's been a while. So, unless you're living under a rock, Mark Golden budget presentation is happening. And this man just threw shade without calling anybody name. And if you're a well-thinking person, you will immediately know who he's talking about. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen.
System. A developer may construct $600 million projects, hundreds of billions of dollars in economic activity each year, yet they are disconnected from tax reporting systems. A developer may construct $600 million projects while filing minimal GCC returns and declaring little or no income. And I think some of us in here probably know about that.
Argument! Yeah! No, Jamaica. Who build them building and them this and them property and all them something there? File nil pan no money no make. Nil pan the taxes. Is which minister of government or which leader? When Zara Burton asked them, so we are research your taxes. But what going with them property? Who Jamaica? Who is it? I want to know call name in the comment section. Who? Marky G say, me show me can, me no call no fall. Hey, argument. Jamaica ball out. No, me say, light go away and boy, hey, it is what it is, they done gone already. Mighty God. Marky G, deal with them case today, no? I'm not even done react to it yet. Me still live and react to it right now on YouTube and TikTok. Yo, if you don't watch the budget presentation by Marky G, you guys miss something. Hey, no, but in all seriousness though, we need to get rid of the government here now. Father God needs to deal with them. Them is the weapon that is formed against this country. They cannot be trusted. Them tell too much lie from top to bottom. Can't trust them. Them not have no, competence in a lot of areas. Why? But Marky G, let me hear that again. No, this serious.
A developer may construct $600 million projects while filing minimal GCC returns and declaring little or no income. And I think some of us in here probably know about that.
Yo, me say, David Crawford a beat the next and a laugh. Argument. Jetline, where you deal with? No. No.
The approved value of the
No.
project should be logged in the tax system. And returns should be auto-populated through a project disclosure section. Expected material purchases, contractor invoices, payroll to be benchmarked. It is estimated that correcting 5% of underreporting in these activities would yield $3 billion annually. We're leaving a lot of money on the table. Some are benefiting. It is the few. The many are suffering, and it needs to be fixed. Madam Speaker, in 2024, more than 5,000 work permits were approved in Jamaica. Yet permit issuance is not systematically reconciled with payroll, filings, or statutory contributions. If a company holds 10 active work permits but files payroll for only 10 employees, that discrepancy should trigger an automated review. Fixing this could generate $250 million annually, reinforcing a simple principle that every compliance node must connect. It's about connectivity.
Yes.
In summary, Madam Speaker, if well executed and taken together, these systematic reforms could yield additional revenue per year of close to 2% of GDP without increasing tax. This is not incremental reform. It represents additional fiscal space of 10% of GDP over 5 years. It is achievable not by increasing the tax burden, but by being smarter in how we utilize the architecture of the tax system. Reform to improve the integrity of the tax system is not punitive. It promotes economic fairness. It protects compliant businesses from being undercut by non-compliant competitors. It narrows bureaucratic discretion. It shrinks the space for corruption. It strengthens investor confidence. It increases fairness. Madam Speaker, Jamaica does not need higher tax rates. It needs systems where invoices validate themselves, where payroll reconciles with permits, where imports reconcile with profits, where billing approvals inform tax returns, where risk detection becomes structural rather than episodic. So, Madam Speaker, we think that revenue integrity should be a priority on the fiscal agenda, rather than burdening the population with new taxes in an economic slump, which is what this government is doing. The opportunity is measurable, international precedent is clear, and the fiscal dividend would be very substantial indeed. Madam Speaker, I move to a different subject. The massive Category 5 Hurricane Melissa is now estimated, as I've said, to cause loss and damage to Jamaica amounting to US $12.2 billion, 2 trillion Jamaican dollars, 56% of our annual GDP, and it will set back Jamaica for years to come. The cost that lies ahead to rebuild and insure against recurring Category 5 and strong storms will be very heavy also. So the question arises, can and will Jamaica have to bear this loss alone, this massive cost for destruction, to which we contributed so little? Category 5, Melissa, was not happenstance. It was not an accident. It was a result of decades of certain countries in the world, in the global community, stubbornly resisting scientific consensus that their carbon-releasing activities were leading to catastrophic changes in global climate. They chose to continue substantially unchanged, allowing fossil fuel-based economies to continue unabated, while effectively exporting the climate-related costs to less developed and vulnerable nations like ours and other small island developing states. In earlier times, Madam Speaker, Jamaica was known to have one major hurricane, that's Category 4 above, roughly every 40 years. However, in the 37 years since Hurricane Gilbert in 1988, Jamaica has experienced 4 such systems. There were 2 Category 4 hurricanes, Ivan in 2004 and Dean in 2007, then 2 Category 5 hurricanes in successive years, Beryl in 2024, and the catastrophic Melissa in 2025.
They say it burn up.
Caused loss and damage to Jamaica.
Carlin, what's up?
$1.79 billion at that time. That was the estimate. Outside of some important voluntary contributions from third parties, which we honor and welcome, Jamaica has borne costs of the expenditures relating to these disasters. Financing, mainly through loans, incurs interest and capital repayment, as well as sometimes conditionalities that set us our room for maneuver. Jamaica has had to absorb these costs substantially on our own because, firstly, the link between CO2, carbon emissions, and climate change was not firmly established at that time. And secondly, the legal, scientific, negotiating, technical, and administrative capabilities were not in place to do anything about it. And thirdly, the international legal framework was still in negotiation. Madam Speaker, Hurricane Melissa has created a potentially game-changing shift. Among other things, firstly, Melissa did not follow the historical pattern of these major systems. It was a tropical storm which, while meandering slowly, almost stationary in the Caribbean, intensified rapidly in these waters, where sea temperatures had reached 1.4 degrees above pre-industrial levels, and then it moved directly to Jamaica. It is generally accepted that Melissa's peculiar intensification and power were a climate-related phenomenon. Secondly, Hurricane Melissa struck Jamaica about 4 months after the International Court of Justice, the World Court, had issued a unanimous advisory judgment that states can be held liable for damages caused by climate change. Now, Jamaica has been a minimal emitter of greenhouse gases that have caused global warming. Yet we are bearing the pain from the irresponsible and selfish actions of others. This is fundamentally unjust and unthinkable. As a major victim of the effects of climate disasters, Jamaica cannot remain docile and just passively assume a mountain of additional climate-related debt that will fetter and postpone our national development for decades to come. Our country has a duty to lead in its advocacy for fair and just compensation.
Of course.
Fair and just compensation from those states who have put us and others like us
in jeopardy, yeah?
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
In our interest, in our own interest, and out of a duty to other vulnerable countries like ours, which continue to bear the loss and damage
one integrity boss
from climate change and will continue to bear it, should now assemble a team of the most experienced legal experts and prepare a legal brief on the possibility of recovering compensation for the loss and damage inflicted on us by Melissa. The ICJ, the International Court of Justice, opened the door last year, and we must push that door further open. Madam Speaker, the legal brief should consider the prospect of a case being taken to the International Court of Justice, relying on the responsibility of certain countries for the global temperature increases that resulted in the damage wrought by Hurricane Melissa. A decision of the International Court on this issue would be binding on the state found liable for the overheating that triggered Hurricane Melissa. That decision, which would be of considerable economic value for Jamaica, may possibly be obtained pursuant to the contentious jurisdiction of the International Court. It is not beyond imagination that this could be done, and we owe a duty to other countries and ourselves to see if it's possible.
True.
Alternatively, but in the same solutions-oriented spirit, the government of Jamaica should assume a leadership position to encourage the United Nations General Assembly to seek the International Court's opinion on the levels of compensation that major contributors to global overheating may be called upon to pay for loss and damage caused to individual countries by changing weather patterns. In the matter of loss and damage caused by...
Hi, Samantha. How are you?
Surely, the law and equity are on the side of small developing states that have not contributed in any significant way to this phenomenon. It is the states which are responsible for major fossil fuel emissions who are causing the loss and damage from monster hurricanes like Melissa.
Yep.
And as these major states have caused the damage, then it is fitting that they should make reparations for it.
Of course.
This is in keeping with general principles of state responsibility in international law, as well as rules...
I am good. I am doing it. Market, I'll kill it right now.
Today. I commend this to the government and ask them to explore it. We cannot just sit back and have a 56% hit to our economy for something that we didn't cause and that was clearly climate related, and we'll just borrow the money and move on. We're not moving on. We're going to have to pay that debt back. And then we owe a duty to the countries of the world that are in a position like ours and to ourselves, because it could happen again, to push the needle. Jurisprudence is not fixed in time. It can evolve. And the door was opened last year. Madam Speaker, while on the topic of international relations, I noticed the Prime Minister's exhortation to fellow CARICOM leaders to adopt a foreign policy of, in quote, principled realism. I wondered uneasily to myself what that potentially self-contradictory concept means to him. And it wasn't long before its first manifestation emerged, when the Jamaican government unilaterally terminated the 50-year Cuban medical assistance program.
Mighty God.
That is what the foreign minister, having told Parliament that this decision had nothing to do with pressure from the US, that is what he said in this Parliament. That decision had
Guys,
nothing to do
become
with
a
pressure
member
from
of the
US.
platform, alright? Become a member of the platform.
Subsequently issue a statement affirming that it is widely known, in quote, that the US has publicly raised concerns with the program, before articulating what I regard as unconvincing reasons as the purported for terminating a program that has done so much to help Jamaicans to have access to quality health services, and the termination of which has left a very substantial unfilled gap in healthcare delivery, especially in underserved areas. Now I say, if you operate, Prime Minister, you operate in fora, which I do. So there may be things that you're aware of that I'm not. But before you make a move like that, you have to put other things in place.
Yes. 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 Beat him, hey. Don't make it escape, Marky G. Beat him. Beat him.
There may be things that you're aware of that I'm not. But before you make a move like that, you have to put other things in place.
Yes.
You can't terminate an agreement that the Jamaican people are relying on.
Yes.
And have nothing in place. I'm standing around while people are suffering.
Yes.
Poor government. Mismanagement.
Mismanagement.
Because we come and speak up for the record.
Neil, what you deal with?
All of us in this house, on both sides.
What you say? What? He will win the next 4 years. Boy, I'm sorry for you, Neil. I got a heart attack this year.
And I believe on both sides.
If you think St. Jonas will win the next 4 years, you got a heart attack. Can't tell you that. When they come with the cuff them, put on the cuff them upon him and carry him go to prison. I don't know what you are going to do.
As an act, really, of a response to the external pressure, valuable and selfless service to the government and people of Jamaica for their 50 years of valuable... I'm going to start again. For the record, we in this house, and I believe on both sides, thank the government and people of Cuba for their 50 years of valuable and selfless service to the Jamaican people. And we join with other Jamaicans who regard this so-called as an act really of a response to external pressure in a way that has been at the expense of the Jamaican people. Preparatory work should have been put in place before you made a move like that, and it was not. Madam Speaker, it has been 5 months since Melissa devastated our island home. A storm of unforgiving force. Melissa carved her name into the history of our nation. While the most impacted parts of the island were from Manchester heading west through St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland on the south coast, and from St. Anne heading west through Trelawney and St. James and Hanover on the north coast, other sections across central and eastern Jamaica also suffered serious damage, and that's often overlooked. When you visit the badly affected areas, the evidence of Melissa's wrath remains very much before your eyes. Today, I do not come to this house to merely catalogue the damage, though the numbers that we have quoted are sobering. I come to speak about something more powerful than the storm. I come to speak about the spirit of the Jamaican people, more powerful than the storm. I have walked through the rubble and debris in Black River and in White House. I have stood in studied, carpet littered fields in St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. I have listened to traumatized ladies in the cells at Petersfield High School.
Whoa.
I've walked with families with devastated housing schemes like Edmund Ridge, Estuary, and Castle Hall in St. James. I've talked with mothers in Hanover who lost their roof from their home. Their lives have been dealt a serious setback, but their hope remains intact. I have seen what the official reports do not capture: the incredible bravery of so many unsung heroes during the passing of the storm, who risked their lives to save the elderly and the weak.
True.
Neighbors sharing their last meal. Churches who lost their roof, still willing to provide a helping hand to those in need. Communities caring and sharing, not as individuals.
Oh, Sir Golding will. Okay. Before that, man. It happened before that.
Not affected directly by
Trust me.
but who stepped up in a massive way.
Hey, Celine.
They filled barrels, boxes, planes, bags, trucks, cars, and headed to the worst affected areas to help. Our entertainment community.
Sassy, calm down. The person corrected themselves. I read it wrong.
Chantal, Spice, Bojo, Bounty, Sensia, Russian, Kemar, Romis, and so many more. I want to pick up NGOs like Food to the Poor, Hanover Charities, World Food Kitchen, and several others who have played a massive part, helping to fill the gap that the state did not respond to. And then there are our extraordinary Jamaican people, at home and abroad, who lent a helping hand week after week to their brothers and sisters during a very frightening and difficult experience. We say to all of them, thank you. Thank you.
Hold on there. He mentioned, hold on, let me go back.
Our entertainment community were beacons of hope and help. And I want to pick up the likes of Shaggy, Sean Paul, Spice, Bojo, Bounty, Shensia, Russian, Kemar, Romis, and so many more. I want to pick up NGOs like Food for the Poor, Hanover Charities, World Food Kitchen, and several others who have played a massive part, helping to fill the gap that the state did not respond to. And then there are our extraordinary Jamaican people, at home and abroad, who lent a helping hand week after week to their brothers and sisters during a very frightening and difficult experience. We say to all of them, thank you. Thank you. Madam Speaker, a storm can take a roof or blow down a house, but it cannot break the spirit of a determined and resilient people. Our people remain unbroken, and so too does our resolve. We will not simply rebuild what was, we will build back better than
Betta,
before.
yes.
This is not just a slogan. It must be a covenant, a solemn commitment that the hardship that our people have endured will not be wasted and allowed to repeat itself again. We must use this moment of crisis as a catalyst for transformation. The homes we rebuild must be able to withstand the next major storm. The roads we repair and restore must not just wash away with the next serious flooding. Our party is committed to policies and programs that will build an economy that works for every Jamaican, not just the privileged few. In this post-minister period, every policy that I outlined today, every program that I propose is measured against one question. Does it help build us back better than before? That's the question. Does it help us build back better than before? The state has a fundamental responsibility to the people of Jamaica amidst the devastation and loss suffered by so many. Resilience without resources is rhetoric.
True. True.
The people need more than speeches. They need prompt and effective action. They need a government that shows up and steps up and fixes what is broken. And that plan not just for the next election, but for the next generation. It's a responsibility to the people of Jamaica amidst the devastation and loss suffered by so many. Resilience without resources is rhetoric, mere rhetoric. The people need more than speeches. They need prompt and effective action. They need a government that shows up and steps up and fixes what is broken. And that plan not just for the next election, but for the next generation. That's what the people need. So how do we... Yes. So how do we pay for recovery while maintaining fiscal discipline? I have been in Parliament long enough, nearly 20 years now, to know that promises without numbers are just noise. The PNP understands that every dollar spent must be generated by sustainable sources of revenue and fully accounted for. It was the PNP that enacted this current form of the fiscal responsibility framework. We did that, not you.
Remind them.
You went our way, we took it to where it is now. It was the last PNP administration that stabilized the economy, which others, including you, Prime Minister, had left in ruin. We did not abandon fiscal discipline in a crisis. We didn't do that. We applied it with greater discernment and precision. Because building back better than before requires not just vision, but the credibility to finance that vision responsibly. The hurricane has damaged our infrastructure, but it must not damage our future. We must manage our resources with the care of a good mother, how she manages her household, knowing that recklessness today means greater problems tomorrow. However, in a sharp downturn, like the one we are faced now, after a calamity that has damaged the nation's productive capacity, fiscal responsibility does not mean bookkeeping. It doesn't mean excessive fiscal conservatism in this time. It means judicious fiscal decision-making.
Yes.
It means sensible prioritization. It means ensuring that every dollar we spend on public work creates lasting value, not temporary relief that washes away with the next heavy rain. That is what building back better than before demands. When I look at the estimate of expenditure that were tabled in February, I have to ask, where is the vision for recovery and reconstruction? Where is the strategy to guarantee that the houses we build will stand for generations? We are offering not just criticism, but a credible alternative. Resilience built in, not added on. And this must be done while protecting the fiscal gains that Jamaicans have sacrificed so much to achieve. They're not your successes or our successes. They are the people of Jamaica's successes. Those are the ones that deliver where we are now. And so I'm going to just go through some of our ideas around how we proceed. Madam Speaker, there is no development without energy.
None.
Energy. Jamaica's economic development is being retarded by the high cost of energy.
Yes.
Jamaicans pay some of the highest electricity
In the
in
world.
our region. This is not a fact that we must accept. It is a problem that we must solve. There will be no affordable energy without competent, bold leadership. To power our recovery and a more productive and competitive economy, we must build back better than before. The current license with the Jamaica Public Service Company expires in 2027. It's just around the corner. The next license must be negotiated with one overriding objective: to reduce the cost of electricity for Jamaican households and businesses. That is central to being able to build back better than before. The transition to renewable energy has to be accelerated. Jamaica is blessed with ample sources of solar, wind, and other renewable energy. They are cleaner, they are cheaper. And as the current war rages in the Middle East, Jamaica remains way too vulnerable to external shocks that cause sharp, painful, and economically debilitating spikes in the price of oil and gas. That we import to fuel our imbalanced energy sector. And you have to remind the House, because us who passed the Electricity Act in 2015 to modernize the framework, aspects of it have not been rolled out or no, certain codes have not been developed and so on. And we were the ones who established the General Procurement Office to ensure that new projects to build out productive capacity in the energy sector could be done transparently and efficiently. But it has been an absolute disaster, the way we've managed it over the last 10 years. There's been like, for 8 years, there was no RFP issued. And we've been stagnant in the same mix, essentially, other than the projects that were initiated under us and came to fruition a few years after. You should be issuing utility-scale requests for proposals every 2 or 3 years, ensuring a steady pipeline of new generation capacity. This modern, forward-looking approach is how we would build back better than before. You also need to seriously tackle the social dimension of energy poverty. Tens of thousands of Jamaican households remain informal customers, living in fear of fires, and disconnection. Our electricity empowerment program would help low-income houses and households regularize their connections with support for rewiring, inspection, and solar panel installation. We've been calling for this for several years now. We made a small start last year. It's kind of faltered. In my own constituency, I was one of the first people to write in with a proposal for a program that was announced last year to be rolled out in my constituency. I've heard nothing. You also, I should say that our electricity empowerment program would help low-income houses regularize connections, supporting rewiring, inspection, and solar panel installation. This is not just about reducing electricity theft. It is about restoring dignity and security in people's homes. It's about bringing everyone into the light, safely and affordably. That is building back better than before. Madam Speaker, looking at the health sector, Jamaica's hospitals in the public health system are in a shockingly bad state. Corridors are filled with patients. Vital equipment either doesn't keep good working order. The staff are doing the work of 3 people each with the resources of 1. Madam Speaker, looking at the health sector, Jamaica's hospitals in the public health system are in a shockingly bad state. Corridors are filled with patients. Vital equipment either doesn't exist or is not in good working order. The staff are doing the work of 3 people each with the resources of 1. The crisis in our public health system has now been compounded by the decision of this government to terminate
The Cuban doctors, yep.
for the past century, half a century. Healthcare workers from Cuba have served side by side with our own professionals in hospitals, in our clinics, under a bilateral agreement that facilitated cooperation, and that has stood the thing. That bilateral agreement has been continued on the government on both sides. At the time when our emergency departments are overflowing, when our operating theaters sit idle for lack of staff or some equipment that aren't working, when our nurses are immigrating in such high numbers, this government has chosen to send home a couple of hundred Cuban doctors and nurses who are on the ground working in public health facilities and serving our people.
Terrible.
That is not building better than before, unless you have a something in place to replace it, which you don't. So I say, why not roll out a national health insurance scheme, beginning with full coverage for our most vulnerable? Children from birth to 18 years, seniors 65 years and older, and persons with disabilities. Start with them.
That is it.
This expansion of coverage should be a cornerstone of building back better than before. If it can't be done in this fiscal year, then do it in next. But get started. It requires a lot of work to do it. We heard about some task force being tasked with developing the proposal that years ago, and not a word since. So much talk and so little action. You, Madam Speaker, you guys, your side, should prioritize functioning diagnostic services in every public hospital. Functioning. No patient should have to wait for an ambulance to transport them elsewhere for a CT scan. No parish should not be.
That's crazy, you know.
Radiology capacity. We would ensure that every parish hospital has diagnostic equipment that is working, maintained properly, and staffed adequately. That is what a modern health system looks like.
Of course.
That is building back better than before.
Of course.
And we have this common regional debacle going into umpteenth year. I don't know how many years since that project started with a $2 billion budget. 20-odd billion, we don't know the current number, and it can't finish. Now they talk about some dome as a stopgap measure. Well, yeah, great, but finish the project, man. We need proper accountability. Somebody is responsible.
Yes.
Mother of all overrun.
Yes. Yes. Nonsense. Utter nonsense.
Prevention is better than cure. And prevention requires accessible primary care.
Yes.
You should bring healthcare closer to the people who need it most. We will be upgrading community clinics.
Peter, what's up?
Hours and installing better equipment. That is building back better than before. You need to restore morale in the health service by restoring respect for those who deliver the service. You should be compensating healthcare workers fairly and providing them with housing support through the National Housing Trust and ensuring that they have the tools that they need to do the job. A stronger, more resilient health system requires stronger, better supported workforce. That is building back better than before. Too many of our people are leaving our shores in healthcare, education, all the professions, because they're not being adequately looked at. And they just need a proper retention and with some creative thinking. We have come up with that. We've given them a lot of ideas as to how to do that. They don't do anything. Just start. Madam Speaker, a nation that does not properly educate its children cannot achieve its development goals.
Facts.
Jamaica has a crisis in education, with well-documented unacceptable underachievement at the primary and secondary levels, leading to a low rate of tertiary level qualification, and that helps keep our economy weak and unproductive and uncompetitive. Hurricane Melissa has only made that crisis worse. Damaged schools, poor access roads, disrupted families, heightened economic pressures have pushed absenteeism to unacceptable levels. I heard today where a senior police officer in one of the affected parishes was saying there's some 400 students were missing from the system. In one parish alone, 400. That was just today's news. My goodness. Thousands of our children cannot attend school 5 days a week because they cannot afford transportation or a daily meal.
Mighty God.
We have to be addressed head on. Madam Speaker, importing 110 old buses for $1.4 billion for rural student transportation without following any competitive procurement procedure has, within a few months, been shown to be a very bad decision. It's not work. It's not work.
Did not work.
We told you that from the very beginning.
Very beginning.
After $1.4 billion of purchasing these old buses and another $871 million in operating expenses with a revenue model that does not work at all. You say that you're switching to new buses. All I can say is, what a time where you leave when you practice to the team. Madam Speaker, our plan would have given the people the rural initiative for delivering education. We call it RISE, to provide transportation subsidies, initially for 20,000 vulnerable primary and secondary students who are outside of the JAMAICA network. We will be partnering with vetted licensed transport operators and schools to deliver a cash-free, transparent system with the objective of ensuring that no child is left at home because of transportation challenges. We would have started with that. That is building back better than before. We all know a hungry child cannot learn, an undernourished child cannot concentrate. You should be ensuring that every child who needs a meal at school receives one every single school day.
Of course.
We will be rolling out the Ensuring Adequate Sustenance for Education program, EASE, to expand school nutritional support for 245,000 children. That will be building back better than before. You should be making sure the children learn, not leaving so many to suffer in illiteracy. Our plan will be tackling the systemic underperformance by investing in teacher training, smaller classes, modern learning techniques and materials. We will be relentless for prioritizing the fundamentals of reading, writing, and arithmetic and cognitive skills. You have just started to scratch the surface. Thank God for a few private sector and NGO operators who are showing the way on how to address this issue. But it must start early in the school system, not when they're already with half the age that they should be and can't read and write. You should be also addressing the historic deficits of self-esteem, self-love, personal discipline, and a sense of responsibility for others. You should be ensuring our children understand who they are, the greatness of their past and their potential, and what it means to be a citizen of Jamaica. We would be tackling adverse social behaviors head-on by embedding the teachings of the right excellent Marcus Messiah Garvey.
That's right.
Curriculum, and restoring civic education fully. We will be expanding programs for children with special needs, which is a huge problem in the country.
True.
Madam Speaker, a respected and motivated teacher is a retained teacher, someone who stays in the system. And a retained teacher is a gift to our nation.
Of course.
Giving for generations.
Of course. That's a fact.
I have to ask, where is your teacher retention plan?
Where is it?
You should be encouraging teachers to stay in the system by providing student debt reduction.
Robot.
Concessions that increase with years of service.
A robot they want to carry.
What I'm telling you to do, which are eminently doable, which will make a big difference to the lives of our teachers, increase retention, and you're not doing it. You should be prioritizing our teachers when it comes to National Housing Trust allocations of housing. You should be negotiating package deals for teachers to get free internet service as a tool of their trade. You should be valuing our educators by practical policies that improve their quality of life. That is building back better than before.
Yes. Mark, you passionate enough?
Madam Speaker, only about I think 21% of the eligible population is enrolled in tertiary education. 21%. And only 15% of the total workforce holds formal tertiary level qualifications. 15%. Jamaica cannot move up the value chain and create an economy that delivers wealth for all our people without expanding access to tertiary education and training. Can't be done. You should be doing something about this, but you're failing the people. We will roll out the First in Family Scholarship Program. for the first person in a family
Yes.
to attend university or college.
Yes.
And our spokesperson for education should take a bow because his creative thinking to put that on the table. I'll pick him up for that.
Oh, you mean one Damian Crawford? One to them.
That investment in their socio-economic upliftment, they could then help their brothers and sisters to do the same. Madam Speaker, education should lift people up, not weigh them down. Education should lift people up, not weigh them down. Too many. About his creative thinking. So qualification, 15%. Jamaica cannot move force is enrolled in tertiary education. 21%. And only 15% of the total workforce holds formal tertiary level qualification. 15%. Jamaica cannot move up the value chain and create an economy that delivers.
TikTok. Boy, I'm sure I'm busier than this, but you know what it is. We're late, but we are doing it. Monday, walk one, make up yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you something. Anybody that is saying that there's disunity in the People's National Party need to get a life. Listen to this.
1%. And only 15% of the total workforce holds formal tertiary level qualification. 15%. Jamaica cannot move up the value chain and create an economy that delivers wealth for all our people without expanding access to tertiary education and training. Can't be done. You should be doing something about it.
Yes.
But you're failing the people.
Yes.
We would roll out the First in Family Scholarship Program, providing full scholarships for the first person in a family to attend university or college. And our spokesperson for education should take a bow because his creative thinking to put that on the table. I'll pick him up for that.
Tell him again.
Because his to attend university or college. And our spokesperson for education should take a bow because his creative thinking to put that on the table. I'll pick him up for that.
One Damian Crawford. One. Never two. Marky Gina and budget speech make it be known. It is his creative thinking. Man of integrity, Jamaica, real leader. Real leader not afraid to pick up them people. You understand? And lift them up. Real leader not afraid of that. Real leader not afraid. Real leader comfortable within themselves. You understand what me I say? One Mark Golding, one blouse and skirt Damian Crawford. First in family. Why them never take that up? September. If them did really for the people or if them choose Jamaica. Some in a hear nothing from a local lab rat. On a local listen to me. On a propagandists out here trying to create division among the People's National Party. It's not going to work. On the time is short. On the time shorter than want to think. As on a quint. No for a politician that get locked up or them have to go get forced to resign. When you hear the prophetic word, hey, you can't stay there. You think of peace and safety as sudden destruction.
We would roll out the First in Family
Yes.
Scholarship Program,
Yes.
providing full scholarships for the first person in a family to attend university or college. And our spokesperson for education should take a bow because his creative thinking to put that on the table. I'll pick him up for that.
Brilliant. One Damian Crawford. One Damian Crawford. One Damian Crawford. You remember good? That is it.
Investment in their socio-economic upliftment. They could thinking to put that on the table. I'll pick him up for that. With the benefit of that investment in their socio-economic upliftment, they could then help their brothers and sisters to do the same. Madam Speaker, education should lift people up, not weigh them down.
Yes.
Education should lift people up,
Not weigh them down.
Too many graduates are suffering under the weight of student debt. You need to do more for them. We would have capped student loan bureau loan repayments at a manageable percentage of the borrower's income. We would have suspended their payment obligations during periods of unemployment,
Yes.
taking the risk of economic malaise off of the student and onto the state where it belongs. And we would not have charged them penalties for that suspension of their obligation. We believe that creating accessible transition from education to employment is building back better than before.
Yes.
We commit our ideas to you. And Speaker, Hurricane Melissa did not only destroy homes, it damaged livelihoods. Our farmers, already struggling with low technology, limited financial assistance, limited technical support, lost crops and livestock, lost greenhouses and other structures, and months of invested labor and capital gone, they are suffering. But in every crisis, there lies an opportunity.
Yes.
The opportunity before us is to transform Jamaican agriculture into a modern, resilient, productive sector. That is how to build back better than before. I'm sure you agree.
Of course.
You need to get more serious about building agriculture as a pillar of the economy.
True.
Investing in our farmers is building back better than before.
True.
We would have established an agricultural development fund financed by a reallocation of a portion of existing import taxes on foreign food and investing those import taxes
into the farmers them. Yes. Yes.
We would use it to support land preparation, irrigation, storage, and marketing for local farmers.
Hold them market, J.
Post-harvest losses from 30% to 20% or less in 5 years. We would be expanding irrigation from the current 18% of arable land to at least 25%. Water security enhances food security, and that is building back better than before.
Of course. What go on, mama?
You should be eating on that side.
You know, see a callaloo and rice though, white rice. We just eat a while ago.
The school feeding program should prioritize locally grown, nutritious food. Empower our farmers and feed our children. Hotels and restaurants should encourage and support it. To buy Jamaica, and it's hardly happening. Special economic zones should be established for agriculture. Special economic zones should be established for agriculture, focusing on export crops, where we have a competitive advantage. And there are several where we have a competitive advantage. But production levels are so low compared to 20 years ago. Agriculture is really not going where it needs to go.
No.
For example, yam, spices, orchard crops, and medicinal cannabis. I hope you make a difference in that area, because your predecessors have been hopeless. I'm really looking forward to seeing you make some progress. One action.
Hey.
Making these linkages and markets would be building back better than before.
Hey, Mark goal in a hole. Andrew is accountable, you know. Him say, him a point for him, you know. I hope you do something, you know, over the administration. And I hope you do something different, you know. Jamaica, let me tell you something. This one it commands to marijuana, and I'm speaking specifically medicinal wise. I just need you to go and do a little research on how much money USA either spends or earns where medicinal marijuana is concerned. It doesn't matter which one you look at. You're going to see the massive market that is marijuana, and specifically medicinal marijuana. Jamaica have the best marijuana in the world. They should have been tapping into the export of it medicinally for years. They should have had the bravery to say, listen, this is our culture, this is a part of our culture. Right? A massive part of our culture. And in a productive way, we want to take advantage of this. In a productive way. Not to have a bunch of people smoking marijuana, but to have marijuana medicinally exported. Because the latter, the previous situation where marijuana is concerned, who smoke it, who don't smoke it. So it would not add or take away to who smoking it if they had focused on the medicinal marijuana aspect of it. It would have yielded unprecedented amount of foreign income, United States dollars where we use in the global market in terms of trade. The banks, them need it for the reserve. Listen, man. The governments, especially the JLP government, because they are totally against it, you know. They have been against it for years. I don't know what marijuana do them. but they have been against it for years. The PMP has been more open-minded and pushed towards, especially Market G. Market G has been advancing the conversation. So you hear my point on them? Me a need to do something with this thing. You understand? And quick to focus on the farmers. Alright. One Market G, make them know me, General.
It would be building back better than before. In my 2024 budget presentation, I spoke to the need for greater transparency and rationality in how food import permits are allocated. Imported produce that compete with local farmers raises serious issues of fairness, as the playing field is not level when farmers in North America and Europe benefit from massive state subsidies alongside other advantages such as economies of scale. The system of granting import permits is also conducive of corruption. At that time, when I said it, onion imports were causing losses to farmers when there was ample local supply. It is this to read in the media once again of a large onion farmer thinking of giving up agriculture and going into another, in the minister's going into another profession because of the market being undermined by cheap imports. Madam Speaker, this is not just bad policy. It is infected with nepotism. I have seen the customs declaration for an imported shipment of 1,300 bags of onions brought in by a communications company owned by a JLP activist.
What?
Former MP. I've seen it.
What?
I can share it with you if you want to see.
What?
The system of granting import permits needs to be overhauled and put on a transparent footing. And Madam Speaker, priority must be given to importers that represent and support the affected farmers, not politically connected margin gatherers. If you get the privilege of making money out of imported food, those profits will be in the agricultural sector to help build it. Madam Speaker, in the context of this discussion on food security, it is also worth pointing out a peculiar vulnerability of the Jamaican economy, which is our abnormal dependence on remittances.
Yes, yes.
Remittances provide currently some 3.5 billion US of financing to the Jamaican people each year, with 100% retention in the local economy, unlike Haiti, and the direct support that it provides low-income families. This is the largest, most important, and most impactful source of foreign exchange available in Jamaica, remittances. Remittances are a vital buffer in times of crisis. During the pandemic, when other large foreign exchange earners dried up as international travel ceased, our balance of payments remained largely unaffected, and the exchange rate remained stable because of the increase in remittances, which effectively rebalanced the current accounts of the country. Similarly, after militia struck, in December 2025, net remittance flows of 315.3 million US represented a 13.6% increase over the same month in the prior year, helping to fund the revaluation of our currency, which has taken place since December, and that has helped to keep inflation below what the Bank of Jamaica had originally projected after the storm. And in fact, I think the inflation numbers for February was just published, and again, it's below the lower band of the inflation target of 3.9%. Even in normal times, remittances help to sustain our current account balance and finance our imports, including $1.4 billion of food imports, which amount to nearly 20% of total imports, something which we cannot continue to allow. It's not sustainable. Depriving value added and wealth creation in our economy.
Yeah.
But we have to big up and give thanks to the Jamaican diaspora.
Yes.
Commitment to their home country.
Yes. No joke. No joke.
And their families' backyard. Their role in our economy is fundamental. And they deserve to be treated as worthy partners and facilitators in their participation in national development. At the same time, we must acknowledge that over the medium to long term, remittance flows are vulnerable to external shocks. We can't assume we'll always have that. We are seeing this with the recent 1% tax on certain remittances in the US, which came into effect in January. The intensification of deportation from the US. Madam Speaker, generations evolved from persons who were born here to their descendants whose ties to Jamaica are necessarily less direct. it will also have an impact. This means that in building back better, we must be mindful of the strategic imperative of reducing our dependency on imported food and imported energy, and drive a fundamental shift towards greater production to meet our population's need for energy and food. Thank come for that. We have been dragging our feet too long. Madam Speaker, the images that emerged after Melissa will stay with us for years.
Of course.
Families sifting through rubble, children sleeping in schoolrooms, community centers, elderly persons exposed to the elements. Housing is not just about shelter, it is about dignity. And too many Jamaicans have been denied dignity for too long. When we rebuild, we cannot just rebuild the same vulnerable structures. We have to build back better than before. The housing deficit stands at nearly 200,000 units, yet only 2,300 homes have been built annually by the NHC over the past decade. 21% of our population lives in informal settlements. This is not merely another statistic. This is a national failure of epic proportion. 21% of our population live in informal settlements. You should be incentivizing development in deep rural communities. You should be offering relocation grants to teachers and healthcare workers to serve in those areas. We would be building at least 500 new houses per term in rural constituencies, and we would prioritize public sector workers and persons with disabilities in the allocation of those houses. That would build back those communities better than before. Madam Speaker, the government must end the annual extraction of $11.4 billion from the National Housing Trust. When it was implemented, it was for 4 years. That should have ended in 2017. 9 years later, it's still going on, and they've announced that they're going to continue for another 5 on top of that. Our spokesperson for finance has shown how we would finance this in a fiscally responsible way, so you don't have to take it anymore. That money should once again be used for housing, not for plugging the government's fiscal account. Creating new, affordable home ownership is the only way we ensure that Jamaicans who are toiling day and night to get ahead actually have the opportunity to own their own home. You are failing as a government to meet the affordable housing needs of the people. That is undeniable. Undeniable. That is why we would have established the Young Owners Deposit Fund out of the resources of the NHC to provide grants of $500,000
Yes.
to first-time home
Yes.
owners under the age of 45.
Yeah.
Contributed to NHC
What?
for at least 2 years. That would have helped them to get on the housing ownership ladder. It is why we'll be granting new.
Hold on there, wait. No, Maggie G has surprised me more. Jamaica, we made a massive mistake September 3rd still, you know. Albeit that God is in control and things is going to happen how it happens. We made a massive mistake on September 3rd, you know. You're telling me that the age of 45, Father God, me not even have to say it. You know my heart to speak and my mind I think. Father God, we need you. We need you, Father God. We need you to rescue Jamaica. Mighty God. Jamaica, want to hear that? Those seeking a house, looking to purchase a home, under 45-year-old, you know, it would get a $500,000 grant, you know, from the PMP government, you know, if they had one, you know. Not a loan, a grant. You know, when somebody give you something, yes, this is something you can use to purchase something. I grant you this. I grant you this wish. So you wouldn't have to pay it back. And if you were buying an NHT home, right, you know that you pretty much would get the land portion for free. That cost would be demolished under the PMP. 45-year-old, you know, how much I want under 40 I watch me right, under 45 I watch me right now. How much I want under 40? How much you not have children under 40? Yeah, let me tell you something, man. We really messed up. Boy, we messed up bad, boy. Lord have mercy.
Under the age of 45, who have contributed to NHC for at least 2 years. That would have helped them to get on the housing.
Of course.
This is why we'll be granting new home buyers a 3-month grace period after their home purchase. before their mortgage payments begin, so they have breathing room to fix up the house and furnish the house.
Yes.
It is why we would
Yo,
have
they
rolled
thought
out
of
the
everything,
Rent program, so that self-employed and informally employed Jamaicans can become homeowners. After 6 months of consistently paying rent, they would be qualifying for an NHC mortgage. We would also allow a portion of their rent to count towards their deposit, creating a clear pathway from tenancy to ownership. That would be building back better than before. And for public health and public sector workers, we would restore the specially reduced interest rates on their NHC loans, and we would also apply a preferential 40% debt service ratio to allow them to qualify for larger loans. That's part of our retention strategy, especially for teachers, nurses, and so on.
Jamaica. Oh my God. Can you imagine with these implementations by the People's National Party? How faster persons in Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, East Portland, St. Anne, St. Mary, all of the areas that will get affected. St. James, can you, no, seriously, Jetline, Ledger, can you imagine how people under the age of 45 could access that, brother and sisters? If it accelerate them getting back on their feet, bro. It's like the man that did have the plan for the hurricane before the hurricane come. That's why he's saying, well, so what the anthem go again? Give us vision lest we perish. Now let's send us Heavenly Father, grant you wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever, Jamaica land we love. Brother, it's like the man them did have the vision to solve the problems them of a hurricane that them never know say a come. Because when they look at the plans them of the People's National Party, focusing on agriculture, helping the agricultural sector, right? Putting in and injecting that type of effort in that area. Hey, me I tell you say, yo, John won't start, brother, yo, boy. Brother, sometimes I feel like I want to cry, man. Me not tell no lie, bro. It's too much. It's too much, bro. Just think about it, man. Think about a People's National Party government in a power right now. How it would have looked significantly different. You think say People's National Party would have kicked out the Cuban them? You must be mad. And have no alternative. And have people when have surgery for the now. It's like it's a perfect storm. And I'm telling you, we are feeling it already, and the screws are being tightened, just like what the apostles said. And it only going to get worse. This is what Choose Jamaica means. The choices then where this government has made. That's what Choose Jamaica means. I don't want to be a part of them Choose Jamaica. Unfortunately, by default I am because I live here. But trust me, if I had an opportunity, I would leave. No doubt about it. If I had an opportunity, I left Jamaica. And if God go open that door there, big up yourself, God, ready. You understand? It's terrible, man. No, seriously, me not telling lie. Sometimes I feel like ball. Me not telling no lie. And this is not about PMP and JLP, really. It's about the people of Jamaica getting the help that they need. And no JLP, and no PMP alone there Westmoreland. And no PMP alone there Hanover. And no PMP alone there St. James. And no PMP alone there East Portland. And no PMP alone there St. Anne. And no PMP alone there St. James. It's not PMP alone get affected by this hurricane. And the things that the man is supposed to be doing to actually help the people. The man is doing the reverse. The man will make it hard upon the people. Me never see nothing like this. In Andel, a straight wickedness. Straight wickedness, bro. Brother, boy, me tell you, man. Yo, me tell you, say, yo, boy. Jano Star, yo. Rough, yeah, man.
Preferential 40% debt service ratio to allow them to qualify for larger loans. That's part of our retention strategy, especially for teachers, nurses, and so on. Recognizing their service with tangible support is the right thing to do in building back better. Madam Speaker, land is the source of wealth. Land ownership is a cornerstone of national identity.
You see, right, that's now this is our different conversation. This our different conversation.
To do in building back better.
This is our different
Madam
conversation.
Speaker, land is the source of wealth. Land ownership is a cornerstone of national identity. Yet so many Jamaicans, far too many, live on land that they don't own, unable to access credit, can't finance anything, unable to build equity in their property, unable to pass anything on to their children in any safe and secure way. You need to address the conditions faced by hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans who are living in informal settlements. You need to do it. We will be regularizing informal settlements across Jamaica, completing all the unfinished Operation Pride schemes and upgrading older communities with sidewalks, drainage, and green spaces.
Of course.
We will replacing zinc fences with concrete walls, not just for cosmetic reasons, but for living in dignity. We would call this our Portia program in honor of Jamaica's first female signing.
All right. That is it.
Sister P always stood up for those who need help.
Yes.
Transforming our communities with proper infrastructure is building back better than before. Madam Speaker, land policy must create intergenerational security for the Jamaican people. I'm going to repeat that. Land policy must create intergenerational security for the Jamaican people. Families who have built homes and lived on land for generations, public land, should not live in fear of eviction. They never got any reparations after slavery. They never got any land. The law and the state must provide the accessible pathway for them to become owners. You are doing nothing about it. Our land policy would change it. We would ensure that when it comes to land ownership, we build back better, with a more cohesive society than before. We would amend the law to reduce the period required for adverse possession of government land from 60 years to 25 years initially, and we could possibly take it lower than that over time. Even while we are in opposition, we are determined to move it forward because we see the fundamentals. I have done with my team the preparatory research and the drafting work. We have prepared a bill to implement this vital social justice reform. That bill received from three pieces of legislation. The Limitation of Actions Act, which is over 100 years old. The Registration of Titles Act, which is also over 100 years old. And the Cadastral Mapping and Tenure Clarification Special Provisions Act, which is a big mouthful, but it deals with land titling. I will be tabling that bill as a private member's bill after this budget debate. And I'm going to seek support from both sides of the aisle for this reform. Madam Speaker, and where possession is well established, but the 25-year threshold has not yet been met by the person on the land, we would facilitate purchase and titling for them at affordable prices with concessionary payment terms. We need to make owners out of the Jamaican people so that they have a piece of the rock. This is social justice, which is a fundamental aspiration of our political movement. That is building back better than before. Madam Speaker, after 10 years in government, what have you done about beach access in Jamaica? More and more beaches are being taken away from the public. Our people are crying out for access to the beaches of the island. You've been dragging your feet on this issue for years. Your policy is stuck in the usual multiple announcement phase. You know, this is announced and then it's announced and it's announced. A bit like that project in St. Thomas there, where it's open and it's not even, you know, no proper infrastructure. I'm sure it's going to open a few more times. I see some public bodies come down, signed with a big smile on their face to go in there and it's not even ready. We will use the law to guarantee public access while balancing legitimate tourism and private interests. No Jamaican should be barred from the foreshore. Restoring our people's connection to our national heritage should be part of building that better than before. It's very critical. Madam Speaker, Hurricane Minister left Jamaica's already appalling rural road network in an even more deplorable condition. Farmers in St. Thomas can't get their produce to market. Children in Portland struggle to get to school. Patients in St. Elizabeth suffer in trying to reach health centers. Fixing the road network is an important national priority. It must be done properly to build back better than before. It must place climate resilience at the core. It means proper drainage systems, not picky-patchy roads that don't stand up to the next heavy rain. Culvert and drainage systems designed for climate conditions. And I think after 10 years, the government has failed to deliver a comprehensive road maintenance plan. I mean, that's undeniable. We had the road maintenance fund. They terminated that fund. That was a dedicated fund that was supposed to ensure that Jamaica had a proper road maintenance plan. They took it away, used it to guarantee some loans from overseas for some program, and never put anything back in place. And there was no road maintenance, proper road maintenance plan or policy for years and years and years. And the road network is in a shambles. Now you say that you want to create a one-road authority. You're talking about one-road authority. Madam Speaker, I am not against.
Jamaica, let me tell you something. Andel, thank you for the heart. Let me tell you something. You see, the road maintenance thing he's talking about, I have the article on my computer right now. I have the screenshot. I have the road maintenance. They actually, the JLP actually, let me go read it right now, Funo, because, you know, let's talk in a more of the details at hand. Alright, so even when it comes to electricity and light bill, me have that there. Me have them stuff there right as well too. Government remove GCT and residential light bill. That at Mama P they do that, and then Mr. Ali Shah they can do the reverse. We have them details there, Jamaica. A dedicated fund for the maintenance of main roads was established by the Road Maintenance Act of 2002. Go look who was government 2002. Funding is received, and this is the JIS website. Funding is received from the Inland Revenue Department on a monthly basis and is calculated at 1/3 of total collection of island motor license fees. 2.5% handling fee is deducted by the Inland Revenue Department for administrative purposes. The fund is projected to receive an average of $360 million from this source, dispersed to the fund commenced August 2003. That is the JIS website. Now this, in 2017, the 8th day of December 2017, an act to repeal the Road Maintenance Act for connected matters be enacted by the Queen's Most Excellent Majesty by and with the advice and consent of the Senate of the House, representatives of Jamaica, and by authority of the same. Who was the government in 2017? The Jamaica Labour Party. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to ramp with you over here saying facts and evidence. And them do that. Big up Mr. Wayne Lonesome. I him me get them document car. I watch him and learn. And me say, yo, the general send me them document there so I can have them on my computer. So the conditions of the roads since 2017 till now, JLP needs to look in at the mirror. Why did they remove the Road Maintenance Act? That fund, why did they repeal it? When it's directly there for the maintenance of the roads. Talk to me nice. Talk to me nice. Let me know. You understand what I deal with? You can't go with the foolishness around here now.
To create a one-road authority. We're talking about one-road authority. Madam Speaker, I am not against streamlining responsibilities. I'm not against promoting best practices. I'm not against quality assurance. These are important things. However, local authorities must be empowered to execute robust road repair and maintenance programs in each parish. That is a must. That is a must. We would treat road maintenance as a permanent commitment by establishing a divisional road maintenance fund and allocating at least 15 million per division annually for local road maintenance to be administered through the local authority. And special provision needs to be made for farm roads. When a farmer can't get yam to Coronation Market, or when a truck can't reach a rural agro-processing center or the market in Montego Bay, it undermines food security, and we all pay the price. The road from the farm to the park must be passable, reliable, and resilient. We would include a further amount of at least $5 million annually per division in rural areas to maintain farm to market roads. That would be building back better than before. And by doing it through the local governance network, you're empowering local communities. It would avoid the pitfalls of centralized bureaucracy It would empower local people with local knowledge to fix local roads on a timely basis. This places accountability where it belongs, in the hands of local communities and their local representatives. That would be building up better than before. So when you come with the one road authority, I ask that that be a part of its design. Can't be centralizing everything, because that's just going to create a bottleneck at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development. Madam Speaker, I now turn to the cultural and creative economy, which is not merely an economic sector, but the very heartbeat of our nation. The contraction in tourism, the closure of hospitals and hotels and restaurants, the cancellation of cultural calls, all since Melissa has disrupted the cultural economy of the tourism belt. Community recreation and entertainment, the fish rides and round robins that keep our community alive have taken a hit. And now we are at trumpet using some of this. And just the one night thing, and I've taken some of it. Over recent months, we have had to say farewell to too many of our cultural icons. The great Jimmy Cliff, who helped bring reggae music and international genre and carried a message of liberation to the world stage. He has left us. We have lost two truly great musicians in Slide on Bar and Cat Core. We have lost Max Romeo and Papa T, two much-loved voices in our genre. They passed. These were not only entertainers, they were architects of our national identity, ambassadors of our culture, and chroniclers of our lived experience. We honor their memory. It is in this context that I renew my call, made in this House repeatedly over the past years, for the conferral of the Order of National Hero on the Honorable Robert Nestamali and the Honorable Louis Dennis Hogan. Bob Marley is not just Jamaica's most famous entertainer, musician, performer. He is a global symbol of one love, of unity, of resistance to oppression in all its forms. His legacy continues to grow and inspire all peoples of the world.
True.
He is deserving of our highest national honor.
Still a call feet.
His 80th birthday has passed. The government must act. Miss Lou's pioneering performances and poetry in the Jamaican language provided deeper consciousness and self-affirmation of our cultural identity and uplifted our national confidence. She should be recognized as our second female national heroine. Madam Speaker, in building that sector, you must ensure that our artists, our musicians, and our other creatives have access to financing, training, and have access to market. Right now, they're too often on their own. We would establish a $1 billion revolving creative economy fund to support our creative practitioners in the entertainment, in art, in fashion, in culture. Investing in our globally competitive cultural assets will help to build that better than before. Madam Speaker, the current system for obtaining permits for entertainment events is fragmented, frustrating, and often unfair, especially in communities that are stigmatized, like some that I represent. The system needs to be made simple, it needs to be transparent, and it needs to be fair. Why haven't you fixed it after 10 years? We need less talk and more action. Our plan would have seen us establish a single window, one-stop permit system for entertainment event applications, transparent and fair. We would build back a cultural economy better than before. Because when we invest in our culture, we nourish the heart and soul of Jamaica.
True.
We recognize the importance of culture and the creative industries in general, and the entertainment in providing livelihood and driving commerce at the base of the economy. It is a very important sector. Madam Speaker, and also small business. We want to change the buoyancy of the Jamaican economy. Look at the stock market under this government.
Remember to like and share, guys. Thank you.
Has presided over 5 years of dormant valuations, sluggish listings, diminishing returns, and wealth. But what about the market vendor, the corner shop owner, the mechanic, the hairdresser, the small contractor? These should be the real engines of our economy, but they are struggling. You must empower MSMEs with concrete, practical support. Jamaica's informal economy has been estimated at 40% of the overall economy. This inhibits, I remind you that in 2015, Jamaica is the best performing stock exchange in the world. Don't forget that, because you like to revise history. But we're not getting to do it. Jamaica's informal economy has been estimated at 40% of our total economy. This inhibits 40% of the overall economy. This inhibits, I remind you that in 2015, Jamaica is the best performing stock exchange in the world. Don't forget that, because you like to revise history. But we're not letting you do it. Jamaica's informal economy has been estimated at 40% of our total economy. This inhibits national development, because informality, forming stock exchange in the world. Jamaica's informal economy has been estimated at 40% of the overall economy. This inhibits, I remind you that in 2015, Jamaica is the best performing stock exchange in the world. Don't forget that, because you like to revise history. But we're not letting you do it. Jamaica's informal economy has been estimated at 40% of our total economy. This inhibits national development, because informality is a restriction on scope for business expansion. These businesses are often excluded from the financial system and from opportunities to build market share, and it contributes to our weak economic growth. The informal economy, Madam Speaker, the informal economy is large, not because Jamaicans want to be outside the system, but because the barriers to formalization are high, and the incentives to do so are unreachable. The cost of compliance when MSME formalize, both in terms of fees, in terms of effort, are burdensome. Too many of Jamaica's bureaucratic systems are business unfriendly. Even government programs for MSME support that are announced and funded year after year have failed to have the desired impact. Their design and the requirements imposed fail to take.
Remember, the super chat is open, guys.
Into account. And so
Bolo VNR 2.0.
We don't have transition to a better economy. You must lower these costs and remove these barriers. That's your job. That is what we would be doing. That's what we would be doing.
Make you a deal with.
We would offer a 3-year tax holiday for businesses once they formalize their operations. We would provide discounted government registration, permit, and licensing fees for doing business throughout the same period for new businesses coming into the fold. We would be building back better than before and empowering the economy at the base.
Wow.
This government, another government, spends billions of dollars annually on goods and services. Small businesses should get their share. The law to allow this has been in place since 2019. We modernized the procurement system with the Public Procurement Act. Regulations took a long time to come out with. 2019 they came with provisions for setbacks and margins of appreciation for vulnerable and underserved groups, etc. 2019, nothing has been done to make it happen. 7 years later, you're saying you want to do it now. Well, let's see. This cannot be just more time and more of the same. You should be proactive in pushing these arrangements.
Hey, Mark Golden give Andrew Owners and the Jamaica a history lesson on the performance of the government. Because Andrew Owners is really the type, that come and tell you, say, him want to do this, and him will tell you the problem, and what needs to happen, and then years pass, and then nothing happens. So Mark Golden now accuse him of being, what did I say now? Negligent. He's saying, he's just telling you the facts. Well, in 2019, this happened. There needed to be some improvement. It's been 7 years. There has been nothing. But let's see. Me personally, if I, and you can look at this anywhere you want if you look at it. And this is about interest. That's why I'm using this analogy. If I ask a girl out, if I ask her out for dinner to get to know her, and for 7 years she has been ghosting me, first of all, I'm not asking her past 6 months, but we're looking at it from a political aspect. Let's say after a year and a half, 2 years, you have to see some type of improvement. Something have to look different. At least she say, yes, I'm going out with you. Right? Which would suggest to you that she's interested in getting to know you and wanting you to getting to know her. And Jonas has shown no real interest, ladies and gentlemen, in this aspect where getting the procurement guidelines them the way it's supposed to. He only talks about the bureaucracy is the problem, but he knows the gaps. He knows the gaps and know how to abuse the gaps. He definitely knows how to abuse the gaps. So why not fix the gaps so they don't get abused? After 6 years, all you're telling me that the conclusion I would come to is that they don't want them fixed. Why you don't want them fixed? That's another conversation. That is a whole another conversation. But it doesn't appear to be that they want them fixed. It's just like the Integrity Commission. Him tell everybody in our speech, say, well, not everybody, the opposition. That includes the opposition. Leave the integrity oversight bodies alone to do their job, including the Integrity Commission. And Jonas is now the one suing the Integrity Commission and asks the judge to remove the very part of the act that deals with illicit enrichment. You can't make this up. The man is a two-mode cutlass. The man is a hypocrite. The man is a liar. He get caught in so many lies. It's not even, me not even feel no way if you call him a liar anymore. And you know what they say about liar. If you lie away, good. I'm just saying. Finish the sentence.
Make it happen. 7 years later, you're saying you want to do it now. Well, let's see. And more of the same.
Baga
You
chat.
should be proactive in pushing these arrangements to favor MSMEs. Earmark 15% of government contracts for MSMEs. Actively monitor that target to ensure that it happens. Don't just set a target. Monitor the target, and if it's not on track, why is it not on track?
Yes, fix it.
To make it happen.
Fix it.
That's what we would be doing.
Yes.
That is building back better than before.
Exactly. Exactly.
Madam Speaker, our young people in this country have ideas. They have energy. They have talent.
Yes.
They need capital. They need mentorship.
Money.
What are you doing about it?
Yes.
I don't see nothing. Way too little. We will have established a revolving $1 billion National Youth Innovation Fund to support youth-led tech and creative startups, empowering our youth to innovate and lead. That will be building back better. We must do something for the young people. I move to workers' rights and the dignity of work. Madam Speaker, the labor movement works to build modern Jamaica. From the struggles of 1930 to the trade unions of today, workers have fought for every right they enjoy. But those rights are under threat. A stronger, fairer economy for workers is what it means to build back better than before. Madam Speaker, the abuse of contract work arrangements has become a matter of national shame. Workers in some industries are employed for years, sometimes decades, on repeating short-term contracts that deny them the benefits and protections that are afforded to permanent employees. This undermines families, long-term security, it weakens social cohesion in our society, and it must end. You seem happy to let things continue the way they are.
Yes.
We would not do so.
No.
We would ensure that genuine workers receive genuine rights, regardless of the legal form of their contract. We would be passing comprehensive legislation to eliminate abusive contractual arrangements. That is building back better than before. Honestly, the Jamaica needs to promote productivity as the cornerstone of a strong economy. If you work extra hard, you should keep what you earn.
Yes.
What are you doing to incentivize greater national productivity? That's what I want to know. What are you doing? We would remove taxes on overtime pay for persons earning up to $6 million annually. We would remove tax from tips and gratuities for hotel workers and others in the hospitality sector. We would establish joint industrial councils in sectors with high employment but low union representation, bringing employers and workers together to negotiate basic standards on pay and conditions that will attract workers to those industries. Right now, they're struggling to find employees because the conditions of work
Yes.
for the firms are not attractive. That
Yes.
needs to be fixed.
Yes. That is a part of the problem. Yes.
Madam Speaker, no Jamaican in full-time employment should be living in poverty. We would pass the Planning Institute of Jamaica. We're developing a framework. Madam Speaker, no Jamaican in full-time employment should be living in poverty. We would pass the Planning Institute of Jamaica. We're developing a framework for transitioning from a minimum wage to a living wage, tied to the actual cost of living and adjusted annually for inflation. This would be building back better than before. No more arbitrary increases and so on. It would be a better system. But Madam Speaker, while doing these important things for the workers, we must not leave out the employers. In taking on the risks of business, they create employment opportunities for our people.
Yes.
They tell us that one of their biggest challenges right now is finding skilled workforce, a skilled workforce that their business needs.
What is STEM school in there?
Our economy generally, and reconstruction after minister in particular, requires skills that have been depleted in this country by years of migration and the mismanagement, quite frankly, of the national training system. This government has failed to come to grips with this productivity gap. productivity has been in persistent long-term decline in Jamaica at an average annual rate of nearly 0.9%. That problem must be addressed. Sustainable economic growth cannot move to the next gear without a skilled workforce to drive productivity.
Yes.
Good. I'm glad to see you clap. I want you to do something about it. That's what I want. I don't want to clap. I want you to do something about it. We do not believe in importing workers when Jamaicans here can do the work.
Yes.
We don't believe in that.
And robot.
On the other hand, where skills are needed to build the economy and those skills are not available here, it holds back investment and growth.
Of course.
Our system of work permits needs to efficiently, transparently, and inexpensively facilitate the filling of skills, which, based on objective evidence and analysis, are insufficiently available locally. It cannot be that you just open up to foreign workers, to undercut local workers, drive down or suppress wages in the economy, and also having a permit system which is often corrupt. That can't be the solution.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Andrew only beat the bench, not because not so much that he's in agreement with Mark Golding. You know when your mother beat you too much and you say, "Mummy, you can't stop now. Please, me I beg you. I ball him a ball out, you know. Please stop beat the administration." Alright, Marky G, don't know. Everything where you say are true. Jesus, Lord have mercy, man. And that happened to him, you know. He might beat the bench and I try to talk over Mark Golding. He might get so much whip in Jamaica. Me say this is one of the most comprehensive budget speech me hear from an opposition leader. Well, then again, you know, that I have heard. I cannot be wrong about that. But there's not a lot that I have heard, you know, because I haven't sat down and listened to all of them. It's only recently I came into this. But Marky G, that one is better than the one before. And what you did was you highlighted the issues in real time and then recommitted to the things that you already was committing to from last budget speech and added on some tweaks as well because there was some new ideas in this one. You know. You understand? And I'm so glad I went back to the old one this morning. But unfortunately, the light went out. Unfortunately, man, I was cooking, boy. And I beat till I brought them in, man. Hey. But trust me, for the next few days, me not come off of this. We are going to take segments of this budget speech and we're going to go into it, ladies and gentlemen, to the last atom. You understand what I say? We are going at it. Remember that. No joke.
The economy and also having a permit system which is often corrupt. That can't be the solution.
Can't be.
We would implement a digital system for work permit application to streamline the process for overseas skills, as has been done successfully in Grenada. Grenada started it, and we can do it. While this will help to drive economic growth in the short term, importing skills cannot be a substitute for building and retaining local capacity. Businesses who employ persons from overseas must put in place apprenticeship programs to ensure the transfer of skills to local workers, so that when the overseas employee's contract is up, the skills are still here to help build our economy.
Yes.
Our plan would also incentivize the building of local capacity by providing a matching grant, dollar for dollar, to businesses which invest in training programs. This would be funded out of half, but would utilize the best form of training, which is hands-on training, on the job, practical experience, immersed in the work discipline of an actual business environment. One for one, dollar for dollar, building the training network, the training capacity of the country, so we can improve productivity, upskill our workforce, compete in the world, build wealth, and a strong economy.
Man with the plan.
The quality of a society should be measured by how it treats its most vulnerable members. You say a lot, but you don't deliver anything.
Yes. Flip-flopper.
Our citizens, much of whom have spent their working lives building this country, too often struggle to access their pensions on time. Persons with disabilities face barriers in transportation, housing, education, employment, and daily life. Survivors of domestic violence seek shelter and find waiting lists. That's what's happening. What are you doing about these things? That's my question. What are you doing about these things? The slow payment of pensions, the need for accessibility for persons with disabilities, and domestic violence victims. Strengthening our social safety net should be a critical part of building back better. We would recognize and prioritize timely delivery of pension payments and increase the tax exemption.
That's a real problem, you know. Pension payments, you know. Yeah, man. Timely pension payments is a problem.
We would establish a national disability fund, allocating again $1 billion annually to support persons with disabilities. You see, when you target resources, it's not huge sums of money, but when they're targeted to areas of need, it can really make a massive difference. And that's what needs to happen.
Yes, yes. Marky G know the ropes,
that
man.
fund would be providing assistive technology, improved accessibility, and supporting organizations that serve the disability community. We would increase past benefits for pregnant mothers, ensuring adequate nutrition during pregnancy. We would establish support centers in every parish for survivors of domestic and gender-based violence, providing safe havens, counseling, and legal support. Every parish should have a center for that type of care and protection, because gender-based violence is a big problem right across the country.
Right across.
We recognize that important, unsupported social outreach of the church community and other faith-based organizations. We recognize how important that is. They assist vulnerable Jamaicans, especially in underserved communities. We would be establishing a faith-based community transformation fund, funded with $1 billion annually, to support the programs of churches.
Marky G still depend that, you know.
That strengthen families.
Yes.
That promote economic resilience.
Yes.
And build community cohesion. They are filling a massive gap in underserved communities.
Yes.
They could do so much more. They have the wherewithal. They have the good intent.
Yes.
They know the people on the ground.
Yes.
To get behind them and help to make them big.
Of course. Of course.
Madam Speaker, these are measures that would build back better than before. Now, all well-thinking Jamaicans,
yes,
welcome and celebrate the significant fall in murders in Jamaica over the past 2 years.
Yes.
And that is after 8 years of questionable policies, using state of emergency as a routine policing tool that the Constitutional Court has ruled to be
unconstitutional. Yep.
I once again want to extend congratulations to the Commissioner of Police and those brave and selfless police officers for this significant achievement. Respect is due to them. Madam Speaker, the policy of focused deterrence, which we have been calling for some time, has brought results. However, few people are comfortable. Few people are comfortable with a very high level of police-fatal shooting.
Yes.
Sometimes in circumstances where there are no living witnesses other than the officers involved. Sustained success in law enforcement. In law enforcement requires the support
and the trust
buy-in of the local population.
Yes. And we don't trust them.
You can't have a sustained program
and we don't trust them. Yes.
And that support will be at risk if there is a feeling that accountability and justice are being sacrificed.
Yes.
And I've experienced this recently in my own constituency.
Yes.
It's a matter that is probably going to be before the court and so on. I'm not going to speak to it in detail. This is why I once again call for the introduction of polygon cameras, especially on special operations.
Yes.
When many of the controversial fatal shootings take place. Then it is not happening. Don't tell me it's happening.
It's not happening.
Polygon cameras have been successfully used overseas and are now the norm in several jurisdictions. Madam Speaker, the Jamaica Constabulary Force will benefit. The force will benefit from the enhanced confidence that it will bring among the population when they are assured that there is accountability on both sides for what happened and that they are here to serve and protect. It is a win-win, and I encourage the police to roll it out quickly. Madam Speaker, thousands of Jamaicans are trapped in a cycle of debt, which prevents them from moving forward. They owe property taxes, they owe traffic tickets.
Hi, Joanne. How are you?
Loans. Interest and penalties have often grown larger than the original debt, and they cannot see a way out. Providing a genuine second chance to these Jamaicans so that they can start over again is a powerful way to build back better than before. We should offer them a second chance for a clean slate. We would give people some room to restart and recover. We would forgive outstanding interest and penalties owed to the government on these debts. And we would provide a moratorium payment for the repayment of principal. This is an investment in economic activity. When people are free from the weight of unpayable debt, they can start to build back their lives. Most often, they benefit from learning where they went wrong before and avoiding repeating those past mistakes. You won't get 100% improvement, but in any good idea, if you're getting majority benefits, and that's worth doing. Many will start businesses. Some will buy homes. They will contribute to the economy. Madam Speaker, clean slate is not just compassionate. It is economically sound. It is another building block. It's another building block in the foundation of building back better than before. Madam Speaker, women are the backbone of this economy and this society. Women run our market. Women create new businesses as entrepreneurs, including in agriculture. They staff our hospitals. They lead our classrooms. They shape businesses and corporations. They basically are the majority in the judiciary, the civil service. They hold families together. Our women are real superstars. Yet the data shows starkly that systems and structures of our society are failing women in several respects. One in four women will experience interpartner violence in their lifetime.
Wow.
1 in 4.
That is terrible. That needs to fix.
Women earn less than men for equivalent work.
I don't understand why them even argue over there.
Formal employment, without access to pension, health insurance, or housing loans. They bear the primary burden of care work in the home, and that limits their ability to participate fully in the economy. And when disaster strikes, as it did with Hurricane Melissa, women and girls are disproportionately affected.
Yes.
Facing increased risks of violence,
Facts.
displacement, and economic insecurity.
Facts.
I want to say, what are you doing about this? Concrete, measurable action is needed. We will tackle gender-based violence as the national emergency is. We will launch a national mobile app for the immediate reporting of gender-based violence, integrated with emergency services and local shelters. We will establish special victim support centers, as I've said, in every parish, providing safe haven, counseling, and legal support for survivors. We will complete the long-standing review, the outstanding review of the Domestic Violence Act, and implement its recommendations to protect women against domestic violence, against stalking, against cyber harassment, against digital abuse. We would strengthen the economic empowerment of women. Our 3-year tax holiday would help women-owned enterprises to step out of the shadows and into the formal economy. Earmarking 15% of government contracts for MSMEs would create new opportunities for women entrepreneurs. Our Clean Slate program, forgiving interest and penalties on debt owed to government, will disproportionately benefit women as they are overrepresented among micro entrepreneurs and informal workers. And our policy to remove tax from overtime pay for persons earning up to $6 million a year would put more money in the pockets of working women. Our policies on ending the abuse of short-term contracts at the workplace and the establishment of joint industrial councils in sectors where union representation is low, such as tourism and retail and security, would benefit women who are predominant in those sectors. We would seek to enhance women's participation in political life. For the first time, over 30% of our candidates in the last general election were women. We will work with all political parties, civil society, the Electoral Commission to explore mechanisms for increasing women's representation in national and local government. Madam Speaker, these measures are part of a comprehensive approach to gender justice that recognizes that when women rise, Jamaica rises. When women are safe, families are safe. When women earn, communities prosper. When women lead, governments and governance improve. Because building back better than before means building back fairer, building back with justice, building back so that every Jamaican, regardless of gender, can live in dignity, security, and hope, there must be an activist policy.
They might make too much noise.
And we are sure that it would mean building back better than before. Madam Speaker, in 6 months, Jamaica has endured a ferocious hurricane that has tested our national will and our resilience. The war in the Middle East will reverberate across the globe to our shores, threatening supply chains, pushing up prices, making daily lives even harder. The coming months and the coming years will require many decisions that will test our judgment. This is not the time for lazy thinking, for complacency in how the country is governed. As we have shown in this budget debate, there is a better way that things can be done, from the design of the budget itself to the prioritization of things that can make Jamaica stronger and make life better for our people. As this budget debate has shown, there is a genuine alternative to the status quo, an alternative that actively builds on the solid foundation of fiscal stability and brings hope to our people. Jamaica's economy does not need to just drift slowly along as the dreams of our people take them overseas. Now is the time to build back better. It is not just a slogan. It is a call to action for Jamaica to step up its game, do the things and make the changes that will bring a positive difference to our reality. We are putting the time and effort to show that there's a better way forward for Jamaica. We are ready to confront and overcome the challenges and deliver strong and inclusive national development. Yes, it is possible to build a Jamaica where every child can learn, where workers earn value for their efforts, where businesses can grow, where each family can own a home, and where every citizen can live with dignity. May God bless the people of Jamaica and this beautiful land we call home. Thank you.
One Marky G. One Marky G, Jamaica. This was the first reaction to this budget speech. There will be segmented reactions. It's not going to be the last. Yeah, it's not going to be the last. I'm sorry. Hey, what's up, Ellen? How are you? Man for the people, man. Party for the people, man. Zane. Definitely. There's so much. How long have I been on here? 3 hours? There's so much, Jamaica. There's so much to take from that speech. I'll just tell you, I'll be back live tonight in the hours. I'll be back live tonight. More than likely. If I even for 1 hour, I have to come back live tonight. Yes, man. Yes, man. Too much good, too much amazing things was dropped. Too much. Like, this was just too good. It was too good. It was just too good, Jamaica. It was, and plus, Thursday, Andrew Honest is going to be doing his. I want to do as much of analyzing Mark Golding's presentation between now and then and maximize that as much as possible. So I will be going live tonight around 11:30. Alright? Yeah, man. No doubt about it. Now the next one. 3 hours that? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. 3 hours time. Alright? Navlet, big up yourself. Everybody bless up. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Alright? God bless you all. See you guys later. Just fire up the emoji them for Marky G. Alright? As a matter of fact, make me fire up some. Hold on there. Let me fire up some. Let me fire up some. Let me fire up some there. Alright, make me fire up some. Guys, please consider becoming a member of the platform. You see the emojis that are dropping right now are some of the emojis that you would have access to if you're a member. Alright? So one of my favorite ones, that one we just dropped a while ago. True Leader, you see that? And I'm on Barnia. Yeah, man. One Marky G. One Marky G. Navlet, big up. See there? Them emoji there. When you become a member of the platform, you get to access those emojis on Bolo VNR 2.0. That's my time. See you guys later. And bless. Alright? Peace. I'm out.